Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Williams in motion, play action for Daniels. Backside pressure. Down he goes, back at the 39. The Bears got there.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Williams in motion, they'll roll, Daniels out. Down he goes behind the 20, Terrel Bernard with a sack, and number 2 flexes for the camera.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Daniels 7 yards deep in his own end zone, and he's going to be sacked, and that'll be 2 points for the Bears. Terrel Bernard.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. How you doing on this? By the way, don't go on 35 today. I'm just telling you, whether you're in L.A. or Atlanta, or maybe you're trying to get in or out of, or trying to get north or south, or wherever you're coming from. And if you're a Temple Wildcat fan, you better left about an hour and a half ago. Craig just experienced 35. You could see when I'm driving down MLK getting here near the studio, you can see the everything at a standstill, and sometimes it loosens up, but it is absolutely a mess on 35. Craig just experienced it. We have a lot to get to. Great news from Terrel Bernard for Baylor, among a couple of others as well. High school football state championship. Carthage is about to close out their 8th title in 12 years in destructive fashion over Gilmer. And they once trailed in that game 14-0, plus a lot more to get to. Craig, you were on 35. You can give us a play-by-play of that if you want to.
I mean, I don't think there's a good place to drive in Waco right now, period, because there's a lot of folks out Christmas shopping. I live over by Central Texas, somewhat close to Central Texas Marketplace, and it is like the turn lanes to get in there are backed up for a good 3/4 of a mile, at least on the Bagby side. So if you're trying to get into Marketplace from that side, you're going to be waiting a while. But 35, when I came up over this hill to take the 35 exit that would get me here in like 5 minutes, I just see nothing but brake lights for about 2-3 miles heading towards Dallas. So, yeah, if at all possible, stay away from I-35 right now.
Stay away from Waco.
Yeah.
Leave us alone.
Please.
I mean, seriously.
Please.
Here's another thing about that. And a lot of times you see traffic like that in a city. You can get off on the access road. Those are all screwed up, too, because of construction. All right. That checklist we had. Remember the one that had some names on it on whether or not they come back or not. And we've heard from some that will not. William Bradley King, I had a little chat with him earlier today. He's headed to go play in the NFL. John Lovett will play somewhere else. Charlie Brewer will play somewhere else. We knew that Treston Ebner yesterday announced that he was our national signing. No, yesterday he announced he's coming back. His sister, Tiana, joins us today at 4:45. And then the news about another one of the bangers in Terrel Bernard, announcing today that he's coming back for another year to play at Baylor.
That's huge. I think it's going to be great for him. I mean, he had the injury, and he was probably a late second, early third round pick. You know, even as great as he has played for Baylor, just because of some of his measurables, and I think he certainly has a chance to play in the NFL. I think this is another year to show that. I mean, you look at that linebacker position with Abram Smith, Dylan Doyle, Terrel Bernard, Matt Jones, all coming back. I think that's probably the deepest position on the roster with the most production. That's really going to help Dave Aranda's defense next year.
Here's the number. We want to hear from you. 254-339-1122. Loaded up. Armstrong Sims runs the mothership after a day off, mental day off.
See how tan he is?
Yeah, I know. Boy, that's
Armstrong's never been tan a day in his life.
I don't tan, I freckle. That's what happens.
There you go. I don't tan, I burn.
Sometimes or maybe the freckles just connect.
Maybe they'll connect every now and then.
Terrel Bernard is back. That's good news. He does have a lot of work to do. We know that as well. But that's again, it's not an addition, but it is an addition because it's not subtraction.
Yeah, I mean, this is a player who was bound for the NFL if he's not injured, right? I mean, is there any question to anybody that he's going to the NFL? You think Matt Rule's not going to pick him if Terrel Bernard's available in the draft? I mean, of course he would. So, yeah, that's huge news. And, it's not the same as a recruit because Terrell's not going to be playing for at least 4 to 5 years. But at the same time, it is a pretty big deal to have him back in the fold, to have him, really as a leader, more so than anything, and to be a guy that it was all Big 12 caliber, all American caliber. I just think it's tremendous. You could tell from the players' reactions that there was going to be, a lot of excitement as soon as spring practices hit. And yeah, I think it's great. It's huge news. And this is the biggest decision easily of anybody who had a chance to go or stay. Certainly having Terrel Bernard back is massive for this staff. Joey McGuire, Justin Johnson, Ron Roberts, as you can imagine, all the coaches, Baylor football, and a lot of players saying, come on back. And he is back. So Terrel Bernard, he does have a lot of rehab to do. It's a tough injury he had in that game with Iowa State, but he is back. His name is not quite as large when it comes to people looking at playmakers at Baylor, but remember about 2 weeks ago or so, after they beat Kansas State, I mentioned Jaron McVay and the fact that he was flexible, and he's played a little bit in 4 years. In fact, had 2 or 3 games. He started on and off in his time at Baylor.
He is coming back. I talked to his father last night, who told me that Jared is coming back. There's still more decisions to be made on players. We did get an update. Colt posted this on the premium section. Is that right?
I wouldn't say who it is or anything like that because it's premium news right now.
Okay,
well, on a departure, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, that's premium news as of right now, so I would leave that where it is. That's why I sent out that tweet.
Okay, all right. Well, there are going to be other people that move in and out, and it's again, one of the things that they now have to do. They got Estrada in as a transfer, as someone who's played somewhere else at Dartmouth. Now you would think they focus, if, Paul, there are 3 transfers they add, if there are 3, with the news of who's coming back, and the Tejada news still is not quite yet official on what he's doing, although the news looked pretty favorably that he'd be back. I would go after 2 offensive linemen and possibly 1 more defensive lineman. If I had 3, what would you do?
Yeah, the good news is they're probably going to have more than 3 just because it's going to be a disaster. But if I had to pick 3, they would all be big guys. Any combination of big guys you want, because that's what they need. And in fact, if they did 3 offensive linemen, I'd be fine with that. Because I'd want 3 big guys, because that's really what hurt them this year. That's what hurt them on defense for the most part. I know there's some issues in the secondary, not as much as there were with the pass rush, like it was last year that was dominant. And the offensive line is issues. If you had A to Z issues on Baylor, I would get to about Q before I stopped saying offensive line.
So ask me that question again.
If you had 3 more transfers you could add to the mix, and there could be, as Paul said, you got to eventually, you have to stop somewhere. They're not losing a lot of people. But if you added 3 more transfers, what positions would you use those transfers to either add depth or starters to?
Well, if I can only add 3, then I'm going an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, and probably a safety because they don't have safety depth as of right now unless they feel really confident in their young guys. All you've got is Woods and Morgan, and you just mentioned McVay, who's a Swiss Army knife player, and that's who I was referring to in my tweet about another player coming back. So that's great, man. Like, McVay's not going to be as talked about as probably a lot of the others, obviously, because he didn't start off as a scholarship player, but I mean, he was very versatile for them last year, so that's a great player to have back. But I still think that, we need to see what happens with Riley Tejada, because if he were to leave, then you're going to need a corner. So, corner or safety, definitely an offensive lineman. But, guys, that D-line needs some help too.
No,
so
they do.
If you're going only 3, then I think you got to split it up, and you can't go 3-0 linemen and then be weak in the secondary or on the D-line.
Let's do a couple more things before we go back and look at some things going on today in college football. There's a couple more teams opting out of bowl games, another game canceled across the board. And Spencer Tillman, I'll say this, our friend who's been on the show a couple different times, is not doing the game this weekend with Tim Brando, the NW Mountain West Championship in Vegas, because he tested positive. He said he's no symptoms. He'll be back soon. Carthage just beat Gilmer 70-14. To win the 4A Division II state title, 8 in 12 years. That score, Paul, at one point was what?
14-0. Back-to-back onside kicks to open the game for the Gilmer Buckeyes, and then Scott Surratt got angry. And this game, honestly, right now watching it, it's like watching the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan. I'm surprised Gilmer's not there picking up arms off the ground.
70-14. It was a bludgeoning, and it was 14-0 Gilmer, and they look real good doing it, but Carthage just destroys them, and they win 8 now in 12 years. Ooh. How about last night? A gut punch to me. I was the only one that picked Hallettsville. They had that game sealed. They stopped giving the ball to Brooks. He did have a fumble, and then a 2-point conversion like the night before, Windthorst beating Mart, and Jim Ned with an amazing comeback down 21-0 to win that game 29-28. Yeah. Well, Lady Bears are up 78-21, and it's probably now 90-21 against Northwestern Louisiana.
By the way, it's funny if you flip back and forth between the NFL game and the Jim Ned and Hallettsville game. Hallettsville quit giving the ball to their stud. In the NFL game, the Chargers quit letting Justin Herbert, who was on fire, throw the ball, and they wound up going to overtime in a game, and they won. But
I got to comment on the last 3 things we've talked about here. Jim Ned Hallettsville, that was incredible. That was an incredible game. And was it not Brooks that gave up the touchdown?
The two-point conversion.
The two-point conversion, who gave
and
it up.
And he fumbled in the fourth quarter when they were up 7 that flipped the script, that kind of put it back in momentum with Jim Ned.
So he was running the football, and they were having their way of things, and then got away from that, and then he ends up giving the game-winning two-point conversion up. And if I watched that play like 5 times, he was staring in the backfield. And then by the time he looked up, the kid was behind him, and he just, as soon as the ball was caught, Brooks was devastated, as you would be, losing a state championship on a two-point conversion. So that was an incredible game. With Carthage, congrats. This is going to be an unpopular opinion. I was saying this before the show. Congrats to them. Scott Surratt's a first-ballot Hall of Famer. But, if you're down 14-0 in the state championship game and you're in the state championship game every year and you go on to reel 70 points off, I'm not impressed by Carthage anymore. I'm impressed by how dominant they are. But I'm saying, it's predictable at this point. There is no challenge for them. There hasn't been a challenge for a really long time. So, as long as Scott Surratt stays there, they're just going to keep winning state titles, and there's not really anybody that's going to get in their way, in my opinion, because who has?
Well, La Vega did 1 year.
1 year, yeah.
I think El Campo a couple of times have gotten him. But for the most part, when you win 8 out of 12 and you come out of that region, yeah, you pretty much have been tested, because that 4A region, that Class 4A 1 or 2 divisions, and now they're Division 2 and 4.
Yeah, and you just scored 70 straight points in a state championship game. How much of a challenge is this even for them at this point? That's all I'm saying. It's just my gosh, this isn't even competitive with Carthage involved in this. So congrats to them and Surratt. Not trying to take away the win. It's just okay, they won again. Big deal to me.
8 of 12. There have been dynasties. Mart lost 2 nights ago, but we know that Mart has put together an amazing run. Lake Travis had theirs. Sealy's had theirs. Salinas had theirs. All these teams have had theirs. Odessa, Permian, Kate. But what they're doing is insane. He's the first one who's ever won 8 individually as a head coach.
Yeah.
Gordon Wood, the guy at Highland Park, Randy Allen, all of them. And he's got 8 of them at the same school. 254-339-1122. We got a call coming in.
Yeah, on the NFL game last night, I think with the climate the way that it is, if you've got a black head coach in the NFL, that's going to be dicey territory to try and fire him because of the headlines that it will bring. But Anthony Lynn absolutely deserves to be fired. He is not a very good head coach. He's not. Justin Herbert, however, is fantastic, and he is going to be a really good player for a very long time. But that's a badly coached team. The Raiders were a badly coached team last night. They've completely fallen into a funk. And I would be pretty ticked off if I was Raiders fans, because of about 6 weeks ago, you thought you were playoff bound, and now you're not even making the playoffs most likely. So as entertaining as the high school game was to watch, that NFL game was the complete opposite. That was bad football that just ended in a, kind of a crazy finish.
Yeah, that was weird the way it ended as well. Real quickly, let's go 254-339-1122. Also, we got some of you on the text line. Friday, we got a lot of things to get to today. Our first guest will be Grayson Grunhafer at 3:45 to discuss Baylor 2 days after National Signing Day, plus what they've been able to do to keep others from leaving the roster to come back for another year.
To schedule your mass COVID testing, ImpactHealthLabs.com. On the Impact Health Labs caller line, T-Rex, you're on SicEm365 Radio.
Hey, happy Friday to you, gentlemen. Hope y'all had a good week, and hope you have a good weekend planned ahead of you. A couple things real quick. Shout out to Carthage there. The only reason I give them that is because Gilmer knocked me out my senior year, 2009 at La Vega, in the area round of the playoffs. So I will never support Gilmer, and that's just a personal vendetta. So good job, Carthage. Keep doing what you're doing. But other things here, I think I agree with y'all with, if you have 3 picks, like you said, Smokey there, got to get some O-linemen, got to get some D-linemen. I pray and I hope that we get that LSU transfer, but he may go home. I believe that was Utah, if I'm mistaken there. Hopefully we can grab him. He's got the connection with Aranda, big body, can make an impact up front. He's I think 350 pounds, if I read that correctly. So, that's going to take 2 blockers out of the equation right there. I think he'll fit the scheme. I think that'll be a great grab if we can get him. And then I think we just got to hit that transfer portal and get some O-linemen, get those big bodies that are ready to play and have game experience on that. But I would say, if if this was like a real estate market, it's a buyer's market right now. The transfer portal is going to be flooded. So I feel like we'll have the pick of the litter. We can get whatever we want as long as we go out and grab them. So hopefully our coaches are, refreshing the portal every 5 minutes or however the system works, and they're making phone calls and sending out messages, doing whatever they got to do to get a hold of these guys. So hopefully over the next week or two, we see some new announcements. Shout out to our players that are coming back. I'm glad that they want to, give it another shot, whether that's they have 1 year left or they'll get a bonus year, whatever it is. And the message anybody else that's on the fence there, if you come back, we'd love to have you back, and let's get it, let's rebound from this bad year, and we got a good future ahead of us. But if you think you should go elsewhere, then good luck to you. Hope you have, you find a good home. Same to you guys who decide to, hang up the cleats. Hope you appreciate what know that we appreciated what you did here at Baylor, but, you got to do what's best for you. But, hey, the future's bright, and Lady Bears are back on top. So I think that's a good way to end our Friday from the sports note. Hope y'all have a great afternoon, and Sic'em Bears.
Hey, T-Rex. Thank you, T-Rex. Appreciate your call. Lady Bears, last time I looked, it was like 89-29. That's going to end up being an 80-point win or so before it's said and done against Northwestern Louisiana. They're playing right now, wrapping things up, I think, and just started the fourth quarter at the Farrell Center.
Back to the Impact Health Labs caller line. Stephen from Virginia, who I believe had a birthday this week.
Oh, thanks, guys. I did.
Happy birthday.
But I was calling because I wanted to introduce a little bit of an interesting topic into this Anthony Lynn Chargers thing. I think the problem with the NFL is that I know how much everybody hates boosters and when boosters make decisions, but you know what? That's what gets things done in these programs. And that's how these schools are held accountable by the fans who watch the TV and watch the games and pay for the tickets and go to the games, is because their big-time donors pay for the coaches. I think ever since the Rams left from St. Louis, and this may be my own personal soapbox, but I don't think if you're an NFL franchise, I don't think winning is what's important to you. I think as long as the checks are coming in and you're able to pay everybody, it really doesn't matter. And that's why the NFL isn't as fun or passionate or whatever as college, at least to me, because they can do whatever they want. I mean, Stan Kroenke can lie to you straight face and say, it's disrespectful that you would even suggest that I would move to the Rams. And then the next day pick up and go. And who's holding Anthony Lynn and the Chargers accountable? Are there any Los Angeles Chargers fans? Who's picketing for signs outside Chargers games going, this is unacceptable. We have a really good quarterback. We shouldn't be this bad. And I really kind of think that that's what professional sports is losing. So I just thought that was a good conversation starter.
Well, appreciate that. I mean, Craig makes a good point. Anthony Lynn, I didn't watch much of the game, but I saw the discussion about the game.
Justin Herbert.
Constant mismanagement of the game and the clock.
And Gruden was as well. Gruden wasn't great last night. But, when you've got a Rookie of the Year candidate, he's a rookie, right, Justin Herbert? Yeah, a Rookie of the Year candidate. And he's throwing the ball all over the field, and the Raiders' defense is not good. They don't have a good defense. So you're having your way with that, and then you completely abandon throwing the football to run. He kept setting himself up for field goals, and his kicker can't make field goals. It was baffling to watch him try to just settle for a field goal, and then for the kicker to trot out there, miss, gets the ball back, settles for a field goal, kicker trots out there again, miss. It was baffling to watch, and I don't know how anybody can defend the way that game was coached last night. It was atrocious. Those are two average to below average teams. Chargers, we know, aren't making the playoffs. I think the Raiders have like a .0001, something like that, but they're pretty much eliminated as well. So, there was better coaching in the Texas high school football game last night with Jim Nett and Hallettsville, although you can argue Hallettsville got away from their running game as well. So maybe not quite, but there was better, sharper play and coaching in the high school football game last night than there was between the Chargers and Raiders.
You want to know about high school football? We know the talent in other states is caught up with Texas based on elite talent, like Florida and what Georgia. We knew about Ohio, Pennsylvania, California, Louisiana now loaded, Alabama. A lot of states now have talent. That's why you see the teams who are winning. It's not because some of those teams have maybe 3 to 5 players from Texas on them at the most. There's no question about talent. The depth of talent in Texas is huge because the numbers and because it's every position. But the coaching, even with all due respect, I'm not saying a Florida coach couldn't come in here and win a state championship, and they have beat people straight up or whoever. But the coaching, you're talking about 3A. And the Winthorpes, what they set up in the formation they set up to go for 2 to win it, And they knew what they were doing. It was flawless. And then the same thing with Jim Ned. And the coaching is incredible.
Yeah.
It's just incredible no matter what level we're looking at in the state of Texas.
I'm telling you, look at that last play, that 2-point conversion, and I watched it probably 10 times, and not to, like, dwell in the pain of Brooks, but, like, he was just clearly looking in the backfield, man, and hey, kudos to Jim Ned. They knew what they saw, and they just fired it up as soon as the ball was snapped, and it was money.
Yeah.
It was
money. I think he also did it. He was looking in the backfield because a kid jumped.
Yeah,
and that means you hesitate. So you're thinking maybe did he make contact? Game's over.
Well, yeah, his defensive lineman jumped, and he, like, turned himself sideways so that he didn't actually, come across. So they snapped the ball as he turned himself sideways to not be, offsides, and that might have caused it. I thought that might have been the case as well. But whatever it was, I mean, they got caught looking, and Jim Ned took advantage of it. And to Steven's point, I just think the passion is different in college football. These are people who went to that school. They got degrees from that school. They pay money to the school. Their kids go there. There's just a different level of it being personal, I think, for college football fans and alumni and et cetera than there is in the NFL. But there is that accountability factor that comes into play as well. Like a bunch of Raiders fans or a bunch of Washington fans or a bunch of Dallas fans can't really, get together, pull their money, and get their head coach fired. Well, but in college it can.
Well, and to Steven's point, there is – in the NFL, we're all. It's the same in college, really. When you come down to it, you're all a customer. Even if you're an alumnus of the school, I was a customer. I paid for an education at that school. I'm still a customer when it comes down to it. But in the NFL, it's a transactional fanhood. Because it's not like I lived on the Dallas Cowboys campus and I did a whole lot of things like there when I was at a young point in my life. So I have no romantic, or notions about like my time with the Cowboys. It's whatever it is, growing up and watching them on TV or at games. You don't have like an interpersonal relationship with them. But college, you do. You do you lived there, you ate there, you lived in a crappy dorm and you have memories there. So that's why people get passionate, because it's, especially if you were good and then you're bad. So if it was good when you were in college and then it's bad now, your mind is always like, well, why can't it be like when I was there? Like, what it needs to be like when I was there and I was happy and I was a youth.
Yeah,
I was just banging too hard.
Yeah. He's making his point.
It's kind of hollow.
There's
love
tribalism.
The point. You're right.
There's tribalism all across everything in America, which I'm really. I don't know how much I really like that, because I think it creates a lot of stupid arguments and just people being hard-headed because, like, this is the way my side thinks and I refuse to look at it any other way. But, in college football, there's just such a fanaticism. And in the NFL, there is as well, but it's just different. It's different in college football for the reasons that he mentioned. And, the NFL has great fan bases. We just aren't getting to see many of the fan bases in any sports this year, obviously. But there are great fans. It's just it's more of a business, although college sports is very much a business as well.
254-339-1122. Some of you who have jumped on with us, and Stephen, you're one of them, you wanted us to point you to the premium news about a player. You'll go to SicEm365.com, and there's a thread about those who are coming and going when it comes to Baylor. We mentioned
the Fro. Check out the Fro.
The Fro. We mentioned that Terrel Bernard is back. We mentioned that Jaron McVay is back, and there's always some moving parts with a few others, and we'll try to add a couple of those to you before the end of the day. T-Rex, again, who just made a call. Everything in college sports is a business decision, and that's most likely even Mac Rhodes has said that. Even if you want to care about your team, your players, whatever, that's the case. Paul?
All right, Bigfoot, you're on the Impact Health Labs caller line.
You're going to run out of gas doing that.
I got nervous about Bigfoot. I get nervous about Bigfoot. I don't know what's on his mind every day.
Hey, nothing bad this time, guys. Hey, it's Baylor Bigfoot. Double B's on the phone. First time caller, long time listener. Glad I can call to the real #1 radio show on SicEm365 Radio. Love all the random shows y'all are doing on here. This is among the best trios in all of sports and all of radio history. By the way, I hope Armstrong has gotten that rash taken care of. Poison ivy is no joke. As a Baylor football legend, I just have to say that the joy of all these Baylor signees that they were feeling on Wednesday and up to right now cannot be properly described. It truly is a momentous occasion in a person's life. I know other schools recruits sign a contract essentially stating that they'll be receiving money and benefits for choosing a specific school.
Sorry, guys, that only happens to Texas, TCU, and Alabama. In all seriousness, congrats to Dave Aranda and his staff on a great class on Wednesday. I know it must have been difficult with COVID concerns, but somehow they got a bunch of signees who will really help Baylor football for years to come. These guys are all legends. I hope the haters don't get to them. And, of course, big shout-out to all the men who are staying to play for Baylor football again next year. They really are the realest, and they have moved up to number one on my homies list for this week. Guys, the real reason I called in is because I want to talk about my list I posted on Twitter. Also, there have been some haters out there who've claimed that I did not play with RG3, I did not coach RG3, nor did I play in the NFL. These haters are dead wrong. I did all of these, and I'm proud to know RG3 personally. Lastly, I'm dying to know what Armstrong has to say about Baylor men's basketball this season. The team looks really good, and I wanted to ask him how far he thinks this team will go in March and April. Will this finally be the year? Thank you for all the love and support recently, and shout out to Scotty B. the Baylor King and my most recent followers on Twitter. Don't let the haters get to y'all. I'll hang up and listen. Double B's out.
We're going to have to do this one day. We're going to have to
digest.
We're going to have to bring in Bigfoot and T-Rex into the studio to be like two male cats.
That would be scary.
T-Rex has been a little bit down this week. It's been a tough week for him. We appreciate the call. And well, okay, let's get to, first of all, a lot of players who are coming back. There's a handful of players. 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, we didn't know who was coming back. Like it was going to be like a jailbreak, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, we talked about this leading into the Oklahoma game. There's any number of possibilities about who could stay and who could go. I mean, you think about this. It's a free transfer year for everybody. There's, not really a penalty to transfer. Everybody's got an additional year. So I think it became very clear over the last few days whose mind was already set on transferring, and we saw 2 of those guys immediately the day after the game. Right? Or was Lovett a little bit later? But Charlie might as well posted it when the clock hit all zeros, because it seems like that was pretty prepared and that decision had been made, in my opinion. I think Lovett's mind was already made up before the season was over with. And, it's very interesting because you would kind of thought maybe Ebner would go the same lane as Lovett or perhaps go the NFL route. I think he would have gotten some interest, not that he would be a high pick necessarily, but the fact that he's coming back is amazing. Like, that is so huge. Terrel Bernard coming back, just as massive, if not even bigger. Obviously, he's got to get the rehab in. But, if I would have told you that Treston Ebner and Terrel Bernard would be back next season, I think most people would be really pleased with that. And then you add in Xavier Newman. And now as you reported last night on the premium section, as you let loose at the beginning of the show, Jaron McVay's back. That's a Swiss Army knife type of player for you on the defensive side who saw a lot of snaps. So, if you were looking at certain posts on Twitter or on the message board, you would thought that every player hated Aranda and they were all going to be exiting out the doors. And quite frankly, there's been 2. There's been 2, and there might be a third because of injuries and just moving on with life. That was what I was teasing on the premium section, that you can check out what's being rumored there on the Fro on that post. So, there might be some more departures, but having all the guys back that are back, come on now. Who can't be thrilled by that?
But the ones who can still play, how many of them might leave? Right now you have, since the season ended, 2. Charlie Brewer and then also John Lovett. We're going to hear from Treston Ebner's sister, Tiana, a little bit about her brother. They are, you watch them, they are absolutely, like you would think, brother, sister. She's going to join us at 4:45 to give us perspective. We do that because we can't talk to Treston. Again, he's on campus, or he's now gone for the year, the season, but he's a part of the roster. They're not available. So we thought it would be a great perspective from her end of it. Grayson will join us at 3:45, but there might be a player or 2 that also, as Craig was mentioning, alluding to, attrition because of they can't play anymore, or they're moving on without playing football. Let's give you 2, 3 more notes. Paul, college football. Utah is opting out of playing in a bowl game. Mm-hmm. Florida State, Wake Forest canceled.
Oh, I know you're really looking forward to that one, Paul.
Brian Kelly. I'm not sure we'll play in the playoffs if the parents can't be there. Why would you play if you can't have families at the game? What's the sense of playing a game in an area of the country where nobody can be a part of it?
Yeah, okay. Good luck with that, Brian Kelly. You're not going to go to the college football playoff because ma and pa can't watch your kids play.
Hey, there's grandfathers, cousins, and brothers and sisters, too.
Shut up, Brian Kelly. I didn't think that I could respect a coach less than I did in the other coach that's in this ACC championship game after his verbal diarrhea earlier this year. You're both in the same plane, Dabo and Brian Kelly.
You are hating the ACC elite.
Well, there were some other comments that he made that were far more interesting. We're worshiping the ashes of tradition. That can be the only reason. Talking about the Rose Bowl because of the restrictions not having fans. Why can't it be the Rose Bowl in Las Vegas? Can it be the Rose Bowl in another town? I get it. Where's the flexibility for the student athlete is all I'm saying. The one thing these kids have been is incredibly flexible, and then on the other side, we can't be flexible. It's hard to imagine.
Yeah, no, exactly, because the Rose Bowl, we also know when they finally added the Big Ten and the Pac-12, again, the Big Ten and the Pac-12, where have we heard that before? Back in the day when they emerged with the college football playoff, oh, by the way, but the Rose Bowl gets to do everything they get to do except in the years that they're going to host the national championship game.
And so you're kind of goofing on him a little bit, but I think he makes a great point, and I know we got to go, but here's another quote. You're going to tell me we're going to have a playoff and maybe one site can have families and the other can't? Please, somebody has to wake up in that room and figure it out, or you might as well just call this the professional league. Nothing speaks to this. It's just about having a playoff, and we don't care about student athletes more than this. So
he's not going to turn the money down because Notre Dame's not going to let him. But at least, you know what? He is trying to put some perspective to it, but they will play wherever they're told to play. Does that mean now he's lobbying to play where they can have fans and they will not send him to the Rose Bowl?
I guess so. But here's
the
my
Rose
point
Bowl
with
the
that.
championship game?
If you look,
where's the championship game?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But if you have 5 good points and then one bad one, it almost negates the 5 good points that you made. Like that Urban Meyer quote you sent. He had like all these great points, and at the end, he made kind of a silly one, and it unravels it.
You're right. I agree with you. I'm not going to argue with him about that. But you don't like Urban Meyer. He could have made 38 good points and one bad one.
No, look,
you would have looked at the bad one, not the 38
I'll tell you, he's
good ones.
fantastic on TV. He's a fantastic coach. In that moment, he said something that didn't make sense. And then,
well, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with Kelly. It's like, if we're not going to have fans, we can't play. But I do think his comment about tradition is freaking awesome. And, I don't think the maybe bad point negates the awesome point that he made about college football worshiping at the feet of tradition.
The NBA gave up tradition by going to a bubble. They got it done. They made a way. They found a way to make it happen.
The World Series wasn't played in the home stadium of either team that was playing.
High school football found a way. You know, they moved 5As and 6As. My God, you can't. Yes, you can. And guess what? They're playing round 2 tonight. And other ones are all championships except one more to go. Jordan Jenkins and Lindale, the Baylor signee, against Argyle tonight. We got to take a break. We'll come back and get some more. Grayson at 3:45.
The Rose Bowl is a semifinal.
Okay, so that means Notre Dame is lobbying not to play in the Rose Bowl. Send us to the other one, wherever it might be. This is Sic'em365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Got the holiday savings event going on right now, and they've got a lot of great deals going on as well. Thousands in savings can be yours. The most wonderful time of the year. You want to save big? Well, they've got 2020 vehicles remaining in stock that they're trying to get off the lot because they've got the incoming 2021s on the lot and coming in more as well. The 2021 GMC Sierra is a truck that has it all with first-class seating, a lot of power, and unbeatable technology. It's the best truck on the road. And during the holiday savings event, qualified buyers can unwrap $8,000 off a 2021 GMC Sierra Text Edition Crew Cab at Richard Carr. Richard Carr is also offering $7,000 off a top-of-the-line midsize SUV. The GMC Terrain, $7,000 off the Terrain, $7,500 off of the Buick Envisions. You can test drive both and save big today at Richard Carr. You can get a new 2020 Buick Encore for only $18,950. That's over $5,000 in savings on a compact SUV with loads of space and style. You can save $3,000 and get 0% financing for 72 months on most Cadillacs in stock, including the XT4, XT5, and XT6. Those are just some of the deals going on right now at Richard Carr. And at Richard Carr, they love their healthcare workers, military, and first responders. Right now, all these valuable community heroes will get GM supplier pricing on all cars in stock, and for every car or truck sold now, Richard Carr will donate a new bike to Toys for Tots Waco. So get yourself a great deal and give a deserving kid a bike this Christmas. It's the holiday sales event at Richard Carr. Get there now. Go to richardcarr.com. That's Karr. Or have them bring the test drive to you. Save big. Holiday sales event. Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way? You can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your home for holiday favorites for parties and the time with family. Various specials available in-store and online. A variety of steak gift boxes with 4 ribeyes for $70, 4 bacon wrap fillets for $55, or 4 New York strips for $50, and all come with steak butter. Fall snack box for watching a game or wrapping presents or hosting people at your house, including summer sausage, split horn, and jalapeno cheese and salted crackers for only $35. 2 pieces of lobster tails with herb butter and 2 bacon wrap fillets for $60. Order online or call in advance to ensure availability, or drop by Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive. Waco Custom Marketplace has a full-service butcher shop for customized orders or cuts of your favorite steaks or beef tenderloin or specially ordered prime rib roast. Plus, what you want with pork, poultry, seafood, and more. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Let's face it, some people just like driving around in the nude. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters to talk about those truck owners that know they have naked trucks but simply don't care. You'll hear them saying something like, I'm just driving around free and easy, nothing constricting me. Gross. But there is something that can entice almost any naked truck owner. Leather. I mean, they kind of go together, right? And Pickup Outfitters is an authorized dealer and professional installer of cat skin leather seats. So I'm asking you to do your part and help us end truck nudity. The next time you're near your naked truck owner friend, you can say something like, you know what would really be sexy on your truck? Leather. And they'll get that sly smile, and you know you've hit them in their weak spot. Pickup Outfitters installs factory matching leather kits or custom kits in just about any color combination for your truck or even car. It's the sexy thing to do. You can be part of the problem, or you can create a commotion with cat skin leather seats at Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
With your Ram truck from Allen Samuels, you may not have to plow through snow and mud or pull heavy loads, but you could. During the Big Finish year-end event, you get a Ram deal like no other. Employee pricing for all, 0% for 84, and no payments for 90 days. Ram 1500 Lone Star for Christmas. No other truck comes close. And ask about Big Finish pricing on Ram Heavy Duty and Ram ProMaster for your business. Happy holidays from Allen Samuels.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
2.5 minutes left. Lady Bears lead Northwestern Louisiana 125-40. They are rolling through a part of their schedule in which you would expect them to, and hammered Texas Tech in that Big 12 game on Monday. They're now 2-0, and that game with Arkansas seems like it's in the rearview mirror. Jaden Owens, by the way, her debut today, and she's looked good whenever I've seen on occasion watching the game. When it's an 85-point game, I'm not watching much of it.
I know that they have to play games like this because it's not like you can just play UConn and South Carolina and Arkansas all the time. But the thing I worry about games like this for good teams is that this game did not make them better. Winning by 87 doesn't make you better.
I think it's as much probably about like conditioning and just kind of that is more so than anything else. Yeah. I mean, if I had to guess, because I'm like, just I was talking about Carthage having like no competition hardly. This is kind of like Northwestern State got a couple buckets early, and then the Lady Bears finally decided to turn it on, kind of like Carthage did.
They have played,
it's. I mean, they're just so dominant.
They've played so many fewer games this year,
yeah.
And so that's what you're right, Paul. That's a good point. What you're making and what Craig's making as well.
Game shape,
But Jaden Owens, this first time she's been able to play, she was not going to play. She was absolutely not going to play. They still wish they could have McDaniel healthy, but she's not healthy. But, let's look at something last night. I'm just going to grab this. In men's basketball, you'll see a game get away. You'll see a game that gets away that's 120-66 or whatever, but you're not going to see it very often. We have understood and we continue to know that the women's basketball, the depth is better now than ever before, but it used to be 4 to 6 teams. Now it's 8 to 12. So you're going to have a lot of these. What I do understand is that when UConn wins a game 116-37, it's, man, they're so dominant. You see another team win a game like that, why are they playing that game? And it's because of the respect that Gino Auriemma. And Kim now gets that. She's now earned that because of now 3 national titles and because people have gotten to know her a little bit better after, just the fact that sometimes she's outspoken. Well, we always hear about let women say what they want to say. Then Kim Mulkey says what she wants to say. And then people go, oh, my God, I can't believe she said it. There's probably a couple things she probably wishes she wouldn't have, but I kind of like the fact. By the way, Kansas last night went into Lubbock and beat Texas Tech.
Yeah, Mac McClung is so overrated. He is such a social media star, but he's a prime example of somebody who's good, but social media blows somebody up to be so much bigger than they are. He was Mac McClung last night for the most part.
You're talking about Cunningham? Who are you talking? I'm sorry.
About Texas Tech's Mac McClung.
Yeah.
He was Mac McClung, and just throwing up a bunch of shots. I mean, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's way overhyped. They have a better player, much better player on that Texas Tech roster, and a truer star. But no, that was a great game, and they came up just short. So KU with a huge win early on, and I wanted to mention the Lady Bears. Everybody on the roster's got at least one bucket today, as you might imagine. But everybody scored. But yeah, that was a great Big 12 game last night.
By the way, still to come, Max Olson, Lee Sterling, Tiana Boone, Tristan Edmer's sister, John Machota, Scott Stewart. Temple plays at McLean Stadium tonight against Rockwall Heath, against their former head coach and Mike Spradlin, who we interviewed earlier this week. Lady Bears are wrapping it up 133-40, under a minute to go. When we come back, Grayson Grundhafer, he and Craig and Brian Etheridge and Armstrong, and everyone was a part of that National Signing Day extravaganza. Grayson, a couple of days later, what he now knows even more of, and also the fact that they've saved some on the roster on SicEm365 Radio. Waco Custom Marketplace. What are you going to cook for Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, or maybe even New Year's Eve, New Year's Day? A lot of times in Thanksgiving, it's pretty much a given. Everyone has a turkey or sometime a ham, and sometimes they have both. But Waco Custom Marketplace can give you that if that's what you want to do for any of those days as well. But also they can customize a prime rib, boneless or bone-in. They are absolutely delicious. And so let's say you have 6 people or 8 people or just 3 people or maybe a couple, and you want to do a bone-in or boneless prime rib. Call Waco Custom Marketplace and order that for you. Whether you want 2 pounds, 5 pounds, or maybe even something 8 to 10 pounds much larger, they will trim it, cut it, have it ready for you to pick up when you want it. And also, whatever you want to eat for snacks, they have gift boxes available for crackers and cheese and ham, or summer sausage, that too. And then on top of that, if you want gift boxes for clients or friends or family, whoever it might be, whether it's New York strips, bacon wrapped fillets, or also ribeyes that range from anywhere around $55 a box to $70. 4 of those steaks, it depends on which box you want, and they come with steak butter. And there's also the option of bacon wrapped fillets along with lobster tails that you could order that as well for clients, for friends, for family, for you. Waco Custom Marketplace can be a great place for your Christmas and also New Year's shopping. Gift cards available at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
The holidays are here, and I have a simple question for you. Will you weigh as much more or less than you do right now when the holidays are over? Why not end the year in better shape than when you started and create momentum for 2021? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has numerous options for stocking stuffer gifts with gift cards for gym or tennis membership, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, tennis lessons, and personal training. Perhaps a gift for a client, a family member, or a friend. You just need to walk through the front door to change your life. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. Spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation. A tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So get the best and healthiest Christmas gift you can for someone or yourself. It's time to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
All right, here we go. SicEm365 Radio on a Friday, heading into the week of before Christmas. Christmas, of course, a week from today. New Year's 2 weeks from today. Paul, Catalina, Craig Smoak, Armstrong, Sims. And by the way, Armstrong missed a day yesterday. We have a good reason. We'll show you that. We'll actually share that with you. Well, part of it. But he did get a note, right, Armstrong? You got a note from the doctor?
Yes, for you.
For me.
Because
I'm the Grinch. I'm the Grinch. Where's Armstrong? By the way, Tyler was here, did a great job. But Armstrong, no more days off.
He's not going to be here next Wednesday either.
Yeah.
Or the one after that.
Or Thursday or Friday.
You know, he's got that ability to find those days before already 4-day clumps of weekends. I've kind of gotten that from him. You get whatever you want, man. We love you to death. All right, we're also joined by Grayson Grunhafer, SicEm365.com and SicEm365 Radio, our analyst with recruiting, along with Craig, the National Signing Day. Brian was here. Everyone was here. So, Grayson, let's stop for a second and kind of compartmentalize the class, and we'll do that in a minute and discuss that again with you. But what they've been able to do to keep some of the pieces that could have left for whatever reason, graduation, move on to another level, or possibly go somewhere else. What are your thoughts about what Dave Aranda and his staff have done to keep now Terrel Bernard, Treston Ebner, Jaron McVay, among some others, Newman as well, and among others?
Yeah, and I mean, guys, you're talking about just a total shift in, I guess, kind of the direction that people thought this program, I guess, was going in. And I know, we follow it pretty closely, so we are able to see it and understand what is happening behind the scenes. But I don't think people realize how hard it was with what was going on with COVID to build relationships with the guys on the roster. And it was going to take time. And honestly, this is just a culmination of that time. These players are trusting the process that Aranda's brought in, and they're getting to know the staff better and getting a feel for what the staff's trying to do as far as on the defensive side or offensive side. I think you're just seeing a lot of guys feeling really comfortable with the staff. And honestly, if you're a Baylor fan, seeing Terrel Bernard come back and the other pieces, Treston Ebner as well, that should tell you something very positively about the direction that this program is going in my opinion.
Yeah, Grayson, did you expect maybe more than we've had so far, people leaving?
Yeah, I think the two kind of obvious ones already happened. And I do think that there is a chance that there might be a little bit more. But I think on the flip side of that, I think that more has to do with just what was going to happen anyways with the transfer portal and just how things have kind of unfolded throughout the landscape of college football. But right now, I would say I'm very surprised that it's only been a few guys at this point. And I don't think it's going to be some mass exodus, but I could see them losing a couple more guys here or there. And, I mean, that's not unnatural. And with the climate, like I said, that's going on right now in college football, that shouldn't be surprising.
So, Grayson, I'm going to ask you an impossible question that Smokey asked Paul and I. You have 3 available scholarships, only 3, and you've got to fill holes on this team. How are you divvying up those scholarships?
Yeah, so if I only have 3, then it's definitely going to be 1 defensive lineman, a run stuffer, and, I mean, if we're going to go in particular, Siaki Ika, the nose tackle from LSU, who might be making a decision on Monday. He's down to Utah and Baylor. He would definitely be my first choice because they need a big guy in the middle who can just stuff the run game and allow linebackers to get into the backfield and make plays. So there's one. The second one is another one that the Baylor staff has already offered, and that's Jarrett Force, the Arkansas State offensive lineman. He'd be able to come in and play right tackle or left tackle, honestly. He's a very, very good player, and that would give you an anchor on the offensive line. So definitely a defensive lineman, definitely an offensive lineman. And with my last pick, you know what? I would probably go with a pass rusher, and that may surprise people because, yes, Baylor needs help on the offensive line, but I also think they need someone to come in and make up for the loss of William Bradley King. I think they're going to need someone off the edge to come in and make that impact, and who knows? Maybe that's a transfer of some kind, an elite, pass rusher, or maybe it's a Matt Jones who's already on the roster, or a Jackie Marshall who's coming in with the class of 2021. But yes, those are the 3 spots I think I would go with right now.
If you look at the quarterback room, which now with Charlie Brewer moving on to wherever he goes, and you have now in that quarterback room we know of, we believe, and you're the one that's very much thinking that's Jacob Zeno. We're not sure about what Bohannon does, if he makes a decision, if he does win. And then there's Chapin. And then you have Kyron Drones coming in. If Bohannon leaves, do you add somebody that's a transfer quarterback, or does that room of Zeno, Chapin, and Drones good enough for you?
Oh, I think they would have to add someone at that point. And I don't think it would necessarily be someone that you think is going to come in and be the starter. It would just be someone to add competition. And also, I mean, if Blake Chapin is playing baseball, which, we pretty much know that he is, then, that might take away some of his time with spring football, at least at some points. And you don't want it to just be Jacob Zeno and Kyron Drones, just your only 2 quarterbacks on scholarship during the spring. So I think it would make it more likely. But as of right now, I feel pretty good about the quarterback room. I think they're going to be able to keep the guys that they have right now. And honestly, I do believe Zeno has the inside track, but I also think if Gary stays, it gives him an opportunity as well. Those 2 have competed for 2 years now, and of course, I think Chapin is the wild card in that situation because we've heard a lot of good things about him. So we'll see if he can really progress this offseason. And as far as Kyron goes, I feel like he's going to redshirt this first year. But like I've been saying, I think that the ceiling is very high for him, but I do think he's going to need some time to develop.
Yeah, I do wonder how they balance that out with Shapen, because it's not unprecedented around the country that a guy can have of the 20 practices that they get, that he can get out to probably 10 of them if he plays baseball. So that's not a completely lost cause for that.
Right, you're exactly right. And I think he's going to be able to do both, but I do think that, you are away at times. And so therefore, your second string guy, if you only have two quarterbacks, would be a true freshman. And, Dave Miranda's talked a lot about competition. So I think he really wants to make sure that every position, there is a ton of competition from spring all the way through the fall.
So Grayson, predict the 2022 class now that we're past signing day.
Yeah, why? What's taking you so long?
Where's the breakdown for 2022? No,
I know. I got to get started on that, guys.
Yeah, there's actually Smokey sent me an email. There's gonna be some pretty good players in Central Texas, and one I mean to mention to you is Amari Evans. Yeah, I need to add him to the list. But Grayson's okay. So now resetting the table here. We got month and a half, 2 months till signing day number 2, and we'll put 2021 to bed. Where do you see the room? What do you think they're kind of working with now?
Yeah, so I did put out an article earlier this week kind of going through that a little bit, and I know a lot of people were surprised with kind of my take on where they're going to go in the transfer portal and with the freshmen that they could add during February as well. And honestly, my conclusion was this is kind of how I've broken it down. I think they're going to take around 6 more guys, and it's going to be a mixture of freshmen and transfers. I believe they might take maybe 2 more freshmen, just depending on who kind of falls into their lap as February comes around. And then I think they take probably 3 or 4 transfers. I just think they really want to add some talent and depth to the roster. I think that's going to be very important. But you also want to add freshmen because you want to build that culture up without having to go out and take a bunch of transfers. And I know a lot of people have made the comment that, you don't want to build a program with transfers. And that makes total sense, but this is a unique year. This is a year where the transfers are high-end transfers. It's not like you're taking a guy who's like third string on a roster. Baylor's looking for guys who can come in and be starters and impact players, not guys who, maybe they can be the starter. So I think that's what makes it a little unique and maybe why people are a little anxious about the transfers that they're going to take. But I don't think they should be. I think it's definitely a balancing act. But any guy that Baylor brings in from the transfer portal, they're expecting to play right away. So that includes the Drew Estrada, who they added this week. They're expecting him to come in and make an immediate impact.
All right. Anything else, Craig, for Grayson? We can't wait. You're not done with us, by the way. You're staying with us on Fridays. You might get next Friday since it's Christmas and New Year's Day. But don't expect too many more Fridays off because we're going to stay with all the transfers, the ins and outs. I think we need to keep Grayson, don't you guys? What's a vote? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, I got to talk to him every week anyways on Trust the Podcast. So, what's one more?
Hey, y'all can have me back twice a week if you want. If it's crazy, just call me up, and I'll gladly get on whenever y'all need me.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll do Fridays, but not the next 2 weeks, slacker. But other than that, we'll try to bring you on when there's breaking news on an addition or a subtraction or whatever. We'll do that as well.
I'm going to call him at 3. I'm just going to call him at 3:45 the next 2 Fridays anyway.
Yeah, just
to make him go, oh crap.
Hey, we do have something. I just received notice that William Bradley King will join us at 4:15 today, just for a couple of minutes on his decision to move on to the next level, which was not a surprise.
So, Grayson, my final question, I guess, is of the guys who may be possibilities to move along that we were kind of eyeing. We know about Newman, we know about Brewer, we know about Lovett, Ebner. Is Tejada the one for you that we're waiting to see? Thornton? Is there somebody else that you're really key on seeing what they decide to do?
Yeah, Tejada is definitely an interesting one for sure. I think he's at the top of the list just because, his option really isn't transferring. It's going to the NFL draft or staying. If you know what I mean? So It's a little bit different in his circumstance. It's more like Terrel Bernard's decision. So very interested in seeing what Raleigh does. He had such a good year, guys, and I feel bad for the kid because I feel like it wasn't appreciated enough by the national level and by Baylor fans, and everyone just seems to want to bring up the Oklahoma State game, and it's like, guys, he'd given up 86 total yards accounted to him the previous games. Like he had played so well throughout the season. So who knows? Maybe that lights a fire under him and makes him come back. That'd be really cool because I think he would give them some great depth. And also, if he comes back, they would be returning every single starter on the defense. Pretty crazy.
Except for William Bradley King.
Yeah, except for William Bradley King. And he's going to join us today at 4:15. Thanks for the time, Grayson. Appreciate your time. We have an absolutely packed 4 o'clock hour. Max Olson on college football, William Bradley King, Lee Sterling, also Tiana Boone, Tristan Ebner's sister, and maybe a chance for us to get a couple of other things in between all of that. Stick your head in a tank of gasoline, light it with a match on SicEm365 Radio. Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943. Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
First and goal from the 2. Purdy out of the gun. And Brees Hall into the end zone for the Cyclone touchdown.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. The next couple of hours, it is full throttle. And we start with Max Olson, then William Bradley King, Lee Sterling, and Tiana Boone will join us on Trusted Ebner's decision to stay at Baylor, among others. Baylor's Nalissa Smith will join us today in the 5 o'clock hour around 5:20 after their rout against Northwestern Louisiana. Max Olson, man, there's a lot of moving parts. What are your thoughts about what Brian Kelly said about the Rose Bowl and playing in that game?
Yeah, that did not think that would be kind of the big takeaway off of him and Davos Swinney previewing the ACC title game. But clearly, I think we've seen there's been some good reporting this week on the pretty clear issues with trying to play one of these semifinals at the Rose Bowl with all of the restrictions that are going on in that area and in the state of California. And so, the ultimately that's up to the CFP folks, and they're, they want to protect tradition, I'm sure, and have kind of resisted this, but it's a problem. And clearly, look, I don't know if Brian Kelly thinks he can accomplish this by calling it out, but I think he clearly wanted to create the conversation here that there's going to be some pretty obvious problems from his point of view. If you can't bring in any family of players up to the game, that's really frustrating to them and their staff.
Now, while I do think it's silly that he would ever say they would boycott the college football playoff, I do think if the college football playoff committee, Max, said, all right, Rose Bowl, look, we can't have it there this year. What's the Rose Bowl really going to do? Like, other than bark?
Yeah, I hear you on that. And it's some of the stuff that gets planned so far up that to just say, oh, hey, let's flip this and, go play a semi at the Fiesta Bowl or something is probably hard to pull off on December 18th, I'd imagine. But, look, this is not Brian Kelly sitting around saying, man, I hope they realize there's a problem and do something about it. He's certainly making an issue of it.
Max, what do you think about the Coastal Carolina, Louisiana Sunbelt title game getting canceled?
Yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, they played a really, really good game earlier this season, a close one down to the very end there. I can certainly understand the frustration by, Billy Napier and everybody involved here that, wait, why can't you get this rescheduled? Why can't you, find a way here? And certainly based on what we've seen from the playoff committee here the past few weeks, you hate that it may lead to the committee once again, kind of like disrespecting Coastal and Louisiana and dropping them down over this. So yeah, I hate that that's the case and that Coastal's dealing with this right now. Those have been, Coastal, especially one of my favorite teams to watch all year.
Oh, by the way, there's a game tomorrow in Arlington. If you haven't been watching the Texas High School Football Championship Week, there's this game between Oklahoma and Iowa State. Has there ever been a Big 12 championship game more under the radar?
Yeah, it's a good question. Probably not. I think, I think this is a pretty awesome matchup. I'm fired up for it. I think that obviously the game they played in Ames back on October 3rd was, one of the best Big 12 games of the year and showed really the kind of potential that Iowa State has when, they're not afraid of Oklahoma. I think that's pretty clear here. And so Oklahoma has certainly gotten rolling and won every game ever since. But, I think it's going to be great. And maybe the fact that there's, probably not any playoff implications on this. Maybe that means both of these teams, don't play so tight. Just go play loose and play an awesome game.
Okay, Max, who's going to be the coach at Auburn if you had to bet all the money you ever had?
Oh, my gosh. I guess until some other, really clear, momentum emerges, I guess I would say Kevin Steele right now. I saw a report that, that Sark is in the mix for that one now, which is interesting. I don't know if Auburn would hire someone literally right off of Alabama's staff like that, but what a strange deal. That's the optics of that. If you fired Gus Malzahn and pay him all that money to go away, just to promote one of the guys you've already got, is pretty stunning. But this is Auburn. It's I'm the timing of this is really weird. The fact that they kind of killed their recruiting class and it dropped, I think, all the way down to like 40th this week. With the timing of doing that, I was pretty shocked they made the move and that they're dragging their feet like this.
Clemson, Notre Dame, Part 2. Max, how you feeling about the Tigers and the Irish?
Well, I think this might not be a popular opinion, but I kind of think both of them should be in the playoffs, no matter how it goes. I mean, honestly, I know this is not fair to Texas A&M or the other teams in there, but I would probably still think that if this game were really, really close and Notre Dame won, I would probably still feel like Clemson is one of the 4 best teams. So I'm fascinated to see how it goes. Obviously, it's a big deal for Trevor Lawrence to get his revenge. This is a game that I'm sure Clemson's had circled ever since they lost in South Bend, and it's going to be a really interesting showdown. Notre Dame just did all the right things last time, and Ian Book was spectacular. So I think Clemson will win it. If they don't, then certainly the playoff debate is going to be pretty fierce tomorrow night.
So you say if Notre Dame beats Clemson and it's close, that you still believe Clemson will be in the 4, or you think they should be in the 4?
I'm glad you asked me to clarify. I think that would be really, really hard for the committee. And I think probably the fair thing would be to put A&M in the Final Four if that's the case. And obviously A&M's got to play a game tomorrow as well, and we'll see how that goes. But, I just think I think Clemson will win. So it's probably not worth getting hung up on too much because I think Clemson will take care of business this time. But if it comes down to those two, I think it's probably a 2-loss Clemson. That's probably tough to advance them. But in every other game they've played this season, they've looked like a playoff team.
Now we welcome in special guest Billy Liucci of TexAgs.com.
Oh my God,
Hey Max, appreciate your time. We appreciate it. William Bradley King was not expected to join us, but he's going to join us. Craig, anything else? Paul, anything else for Max? Max, we appreciate it. I know it's been. By the way, Breece Hall, your dude at Iowa State. No surprise, the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. Mike Rose, Defensive Player of the Year. Matt Campbell. Go ahead. You had anything?
No, finish your question.
I mean, they just dominated the Big 12. I've never seen one team, not even Oklahoma or Texas, when either one had their dominant teams. In Nebraska, I never saw, that's been a while, I've never seen somebody dominate the team like they did yesterday.
Well, and I'll tell you what, it's important to point out there, that's not like a matter of like hype, right? That's the fact that the coaches in the Big 12 really, really respect how good the players are at Iowa State, how well they've been coached, how hard they've played this year. So, huge sign of respect for Iowa State that they kind of cleaned up on all the awards yesterday. And I do have a piece up on the Athletics today about Matt Campbell and his culture and just what they've achieved in 5 years there. So hopefully your listeners will check that out.
So, Max, Charlie Brewer leaving Baylor along with John Lovett. They are going to get Terrel Bernard and Treston Ebner back. Your thoughts on just kind of the early transitions for this Baylor roster just a few days removed from their last game?
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on the portal all week, and guys, we're just going to see a ton of this, just a ton of it, because at the time when the NCAA approved that this would be an eligibility freeze for this year, I think we looked at it and said, "Oh wow, that's great. A lot of kids can come back next year, especially if this season doesn't get completed. It's it's a lot more fair to them." I think what we're seeing this week is, and there's two sides to this. Obviously, there's some players that feel like they need to move on. And there's some players who the coaching staff is going to tell them, hey, you need to move on. But we're going to see, we've just seen hundreds and hundreds of scholarship players go into the portal this week. We're going to see more next week and over winter break and all that before the semester starts. The player movement this offseason is going to be like never before, I think.
Thank you, Max. Appreciate it. As always, Max Olson, our college football analyst from theathletic.com, with us on Thursdays this week. He was with us today. Coming up in the next segment, about 10 minutes, we'll hear from Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com on Vegas, college and pro games. Also at 4:45, Tiana Boone will join us, Treston Ebner's sister, on his decision to come back and play another year for Baylor. In the 5 o'clock hour, we just added Nalissa Smith of Baylor, Lady Bears, and Also, our 5 o'clock hour, Temple football coach Scott Stewart. They're playing Rockwall Heath and less than a mile down the road at McLean Stadium. We're now joined by William Bradley King. He came to Baylor from Arkansas State. He was their most disruptive player defensively when it comes to getting at the quarterback, and he joins us on SicEm365 Radio, headed to the NFL. William Bradley King, thanks for your time. I know it's a busy time. You're with family. Just your overall thoughts. I don't think anyone was surprised you decided to leave for the NFL. And what have you been told about your opportunities of what to expect once there's an opportunity to be drafted?
Yeah, appreciate you guys for having me. And really, I got my grade back. It was pretty decent, but my main focus is going to the Senior Bowl and performing at the best I can. And I'm really just looking forward to the work ahead. It's still a lot of work to be done, and there's still ways I can still make more money.
Do you mind sharing the grade with us? What they told you?
Yeah, I could go from anywhere from the 3rd to 7th round.
So that's good to have an idea, William. And what is kind of your plan for the offseason now? Do you just dive right in, and do you have like a trainer lined up? Like, what's kind of your schedule looking like as you get ready for, Senior Bowl and all that comes with that?
Yeah, right now I'm just back at home, training, staying in shape. And I'll move to Atlanta on the 3rd, and I'll start training and everything, and just, really diving in, getting prepared, just trying to figure out ways to get better for the Senior Bowl and interviews and all the things like that.
William, the season didn't go as anyone planned. At 2-7, it was a tough road, no question about it. The defense had some moments when you guys were just spectacular and tried to carry the team. In the end, you were there in the locker room, behind the scenes. How difficult was that to try to piece things together? And how did you think Dave Aranda, Ron Roberts, Joey McGuire, and Meatball and everyone else, Brian Stewart, Powledge, how did they do defensively despite the record?
Man, all in all, I'm happy with everything. We prepared week in and week out like we were, going into a game to win. And most of those times, we came up short more than, we expected. But, it's a beauty to it. That's what comes with the game. But, every week we prepared like we were going to win. We knew that, we just had, some problems with COVID and, guys and injuries and stuff. So, the season didn't go the way we wanted. But all in all, I'm happy with it.
William, how hard was this season? I mean, you guys, we can talk about it. We can guess how hard it is to have these starts and stops and everything else. How hard was this?
Yeah, it was a different season. It was one of a kind for sure. It's just like, we had to just think like control what we could control. So, whenever things were going in our favor, we did the best we could to make sure that we was on top of everything.
Did Coach Aranda or Ron Roberts or Joey McGuire, he handles the linebackers, did any of them, they kind of knew most likely you were going to be here for a year, but did any of them try to talk you into staying another year, or would that have mattered anyway?
Yeah, they did, but, I kind of already, had my mind made up, and, it was just the mission that I was on, and I'm still on.
You may have heard the news today. Terrel Bernard has decided he's coming back for another year. He had the unfortunate injury against Iowa State. We know he was the other guy, along with a few others on that defense that made plays until he was hurt. How impressed were you playing alongside of him, and how much does him coming back, do you think, help that defense be at another level than they even were this year?
Yeah, I was impressed with Terrel Bernard. He's a great football player. Even better leader, even better guy off the field. Really just everything that he went through just really inspired the defense. So, we finished so strong, as strong as we could just because of him, and really him coming back, it's going to be incredible for the program. Just, the way he approaches, work and just the game and just life really. it's going to rub off on everybody else on the team. So, you know, I see the team, especially the defense, being top 15 in the nation next season. And, you know, who knows what else, you know, what other good things are to come to Baylor.
Your thoughts about Blake Anderson headed to Utah State. You played for him at Arkansas State, and his opportunities you think he'll do with the Aggies at Utah State?
Yeah, I wish the best for Coach Anderson. That's a great man. I played under him. You know, he taught me a lot of the things I know and live by to this day. So, you know, hopefully he'll keep doing that and keep on the winning tradition that he has held up.
So, William, I mean, you spent the 1 year at Baylor, or even, I guess, less than a year, but do you feel like you've formed enough bonds that, you know, this could be a place that if you get the opportunity to come back, watch a game on the sidelines, keep in touch, that kind of thing?
Of course. That's just one of the things that, you know, I really focused on when I came down, was just like building relationships, you know, helping the younger guys get better, you know, the camaraderie, you know, everything. You know, I love my Baylor teammates. I love my Baylor family. I appreciate them for everything they did. You know, they welcomed me in with open arms and made me feel right at home immediately. And, you know, I appreciate that a lot.
Man, we appreciate you. I know you're with family, and you gave us more time than we asked, and we do appreciate you, buddy. And thanks for your time. Thanks for doing everything you could when you were here. And good luck. And we'll follow you along the way to the NFL, whether the All-Star games, the Combine, and everything else. You'll hear from us again.
All right. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. That's William Bradley King. Appreciate that, because when I contacted him, it's been a couple of hours or so. He was trying to get out of town, wherever he was. He was also with family. I said, if you have 5 minutes, great. He gave us 5 minutes, maybe gave us 7 minutes, and gave us a bunch about the staff, obviously Terrel Bernard, about what he expects from them next year, about not only just Dave Aranda in his defense, but Roberts and McGuire, and I mentioned them all, Meatball and Powledge and Brian Stewart. These guys are grinded on players, and he did, in fact, Dave Aranda make a pitch to him.
Yeah.
But he was pretty much out the door. Everyone kind of knew he was a one and done, so to speak.
Yeah, whenever a player like him of that caliber, he could have stayed at Arkansas State and probably it would have been the same result. But, I mean, I think that was pretty much inevitable. And, you know, with him having NFL aspirations, you know, I could understand after a season like this where you're just like, you know what, I need to go try that out. I don't know how much higher I'm really going to get myself, so I might as well go and try it out. And as he said, anywhere through the 3rd through the 7th, right, is where he was projected by the NFL. But as y'all mentioned earlier, you know, with the Terrel Bernard news, we had the Jaron McVay news that he will be back, although he wasn't necessarily a starter, but certainly a guy who could play starting reps at times. I mean, this defense is really set up nicely for next year, guys. I mean, we have to see what happens with Raleigh Tejada, obviously. But if Raleigh Tejada comes back, you've got your starting corners, your starting safeties, your linebacker unit is ridiculous now that Bernard's coming back. Abram Smith, Jalen Petrie, Dylan Doyle. You need to add up front. You got a lot of young guys there. You need to add up front. You need a pass rusher, and a run stuffer, as Grayson mentioned. So that's where the transfer portal will come into play. But they got a really good base to work with, that's for sure.
No question about it. Coming up next, Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com, and the games this weekend, NFL and college. Tiana Boone will join us at 4:45 on her brother, Treston Ebner's decision to come back. That was William Bradley King. That was Max Olson, Nelissa Smith, Lady Bears at 5:15. Much more. Temple at McLean Stadium right down the road. We'll hear from Scott Stewart with Paul Catalina. That's today at 5:30. SicEm365 Radio. Ideal MRI. I got a little neck that's kind of sore. It's just a muscle. It's just sore. It's no big deal. But all of a sudden, if it kept me from being able to sleep or kept me from being able to move around normally, or just was more than just a pulled muscle, maybe it's a nerve, maybe it's something else, maybe it's torn. I'm not saying that's what it is. It's just I know it's fine. But let's say you have aches and pains that are more than normal, just bumps and bruises. What do you do about it? Well, it depends. We talk to your doctor, and they say, hey, we need to check that out a little bit deeper and get a better look at it, a picture, so to speak, an MRI. Ask them about Ideal MRI. If your doctor thinks there's more than just something that they could rub cream on it, or maybe you take a couple of Advil or Aleve, and it's something worse than that, and they're concerned about it, torn, broken, whatever it might be, Ideal MRI in the Central Texas marketplace. It's right smack in the middle of, it's on the southern part of Waco now. Off the access road, Loop 340 and Loop and I guess Highway 6. They have a state-of-the-art MRI machine that is no different than all the best you could ever get. Right there inside their building. Techs and specialists that are fantastic. When you walk through the front door, after you contact them for the appointment, that's very simple. And then walk through the front door, they'll take you through the process and explain everything to you. And then it's time for you to get inside the machine. And it was a comfortable experience for me in late March because I had something going on with my left shoulder. And boom, by that evening, I got a call from Dr. Rob Maxey. Okay, this is what it is. Not a surprise. Kind of had an idea. But then we knew, he knew, and so did Dr. Haynes with Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics because they all work together. Ideal MRI is who doctors understand will give you an MRI, and it will be just like anything else you could get. But here's the biggest key. $497 or less instead of $1,100 on average for an MRI. That's ideal at idealmri.com.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
MP Electric has developed a quality-oriented electrical contracting service in more than 20 years in the industry. Led by President Mark Perry, our electricians go through a 5-year apprenticeship program, are licensed by the state of Texas, and getting continuous education annually upon renewal. In great part, the success of MP Electric lies with its management and professional expertise of its employees. All of our employees share a dedication to quality and commitment to serving the needs of our customers. For new construction and remodels, parking lot, lighting and surge protection, landscape lights, security lights, troubleshooting, and repairs. For industrial manufacturing, food and beverage, paper and publishing, heavy industry, cement and rock crushing plants, water distribution plants, and utilities. For 20 years, MP Electric has serviced industrial, commercial, and residential products. We do service right. MP Electric Inc. at 1890 Galaxy Road, Waco. MPelectricusa.com.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Cap, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
The Sic'em365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, here we go. College football and pro football, what Vegas has to say about it. Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com. Been a fantastic football season for Lee, and hopefully for you if you've been listening and understanding and following what he has to say. Lee, Merry Christmas a week early, and let's start with Texas A&M and Tennessee in a game that if A&M wins, the possibility for them to be in the college football playoff.
And you got to think that they're going to want to pour it on because I think that the margin of victory is going to be important. It could be, unless Clemson wins the game easily, and the game is being played before that, which is important. And A&M, they're one of these teams. They don't wow you. They don't have the one guy outside of their running back Spiller who you really are dazzled by, but they just dominate the line of scrimmage. You can hang in the game for a half or three quarters, and then they wear you down. And Tennessee, I just don't think they have any answer at quarterback yet. They got to keep playing the young guys, which it looks like they'll do. And who knows, it might lead into next year where they have to try the true freshman out, the kid they just recruited here. So I think Texas A&M pulls away late, wins and covers 35-14.
Alabama and Florida, Lee, the Gators coming off a really embarrassing loss to LSU.
It was, because this is probably LSU's worst team in the last 15, 20 years. To beat Alabama, you're just going to have to be balanced and not have any weaknesses. And I think Florida does. They have too many. Their defense isn't sound enough. They have no running attack. They're ranked 100th out of 127 teams. Kyle Trask is great. 40 touchdown passes, only 5 interceptions. But he's going to have his best game as a collegiate quarterback. And Dan Mullen has lost 9 straight games here to Nick Saban. Make it 10 in a row. Roll Tide, 48-24.
Big-time rematch with college football playoff implications, although depending on the outcome, both might still get in. Clemson and Notre Dame, the ACC title game.
So I just think people think it's a foregone conclusion that Trevor Lawrence comes back, the 2 linebackers that missed the first game and their role. But it wasn't the quarterback position was the problem for Clemson in the first game. Lawrence's backup had 439 yards passing. He didn't throw an interception. It's Notre Dame's offensive and defensive lines. In fact, Notre Dame is averaging 235 rushing yards a game. That's what Clemson averaged last year. A year ago, how about this? Travis Etienne, and he has not been hurt. Last year, he ran for between 109 and 212 yards in each of the last 6 games. This year, between 28 and 86 yards each of the last 6 games. He has not even come close to 100 yards here. I think the offensive line is down quite a bit for Clemson. I think the receivers and DBs aren't on the level where they were 2 years ago. I think Clemson's going to find a way to win just because Lawrence and Etienne are great, but they're not going to cover 10.5. Clemson wins and escapes 34-30.
Yeah, Notre Dame's not getting much respect here. And I think, of course, Clemson, we've seen what they've done. They've been more Alabama than Alabama in the last 3 to 4 years. But that's a cool one to hear you say that. Oklahoma and Iowa State, we know they met earlier this year. There's another rematch. OU seems to have gotten most of their act together on defense, but Iowa State has been a machine, it seems to me, the last month or so.
Yeah, they have. And if Oklahoma had lost the first game, they maybe turned the ball over 4 or 5 times. They'd say, okay, I can see how Oklahoma, through their improvement with their defense, is the right side here. But these 2 teams have been on a lot of close games. And Iowa State, what do? They won that game against Oklahoma. They go to TCU. They win by 3. In a pressure cooker at Texas with so much on the line, they won in regulation. Oklahoma lost to Kansas State. They ended up having to go to 4 overtimes to beat Texas here for the first time in over 100 years. Iowa State wins a conference title 30-27.
Lee, the NFL game of the week, Kansas City and New Orleans, and Drew Brees is back.
Yeah, and he's back, but I think they're going to protect him. I think you're going to see Taysom Hill play quite a bit in different packages still. I think they're going to try to run the ball more. I played one time with 2 cracked ribs 2 weeks later, and let me tell you something. I was in pain. I had to get shot up. It's 4 weeks later, 11 ribs. You can't tell me that he's close to 100%. And I think Kansas City, by playing Miami's defense and Mahomes having that experience where he threw 3 interceptions, I think he'll be focused here. I think Kansas City just has too many weapons here. I think they pull away. I think they win this game 27-14.
Game of the week, AFC South action, Colts and Texans, Lee.
Yeah, it should be a big game here for Indy. They're right in the thick of things. Houston, we're not sure what they're playing for, but they still have a great quarterback. You want to get this game, just call 800-400-9741. First 5 callers get the game for free. Hey, we have a lot to play for normally. It's $4.97 from now through the Super Bowl. I'm going to lower the price. Cheapest price ever, $297. Get you championship week. We've got 3 weeks left of the NFL season, 35 bowl games, NFL playoffs, and Super Bowl. We've had 24 out of 27 winning weeks in the bowls. Last year, from January 1st to the Super Bowl, we went on a 13-3 run. You want to hop on board, use coupon code SAVE200, ParamountSports.com, or 800-400-9741. And, guys, I just want to thank you. It's our last segment until the Friday before the Super Bowl. We didn't know where we were headed. It hasn't been the straightest path, but we made it through it somehow. And I want to thank you and wish you and your families and your staff and all the listeners out there a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas. Everyone be safe.
You know, Lee, I'm going to say this. I see you now pop up more on my timeline from other – I'm not saying we were the first by any means. You've been doing radio for a long, long time. But I am seeing you pop up more and more in a lot of places that we follow. Are you now on – how many radio stations are you on? Do you know?
Yeah, from Thursday morning through Saturday morning. I think I only do 2 on Saturday mornings on 56 different shows around the country.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
Just 56, Lee?
Yeah. Nah, God.
56. So that's why I'm taking off a couple weeks now. So, yeah, a lot of great stations. You guys, I think we've been together for how many years now, guys?
At least
9 or 10.
It's been 8 to 10. Yeah, I can't remember for sure. I'm not sure when you started.
This is my 28th year in business. I know you're in my top 10 being together the longest. I appreciate what you guys do. A lot of great listeners give me a call and have been clients, and just want to say thank you. And everyone be safe and have a great holiday.
And Lee's another one that when we moved from one place to another, he came with us as kind of like baggage and furniture. And we appreciate that. Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports, at Paramount Sports on Twitter. Appreciate his time on Fridays at 425. The Heisman Trophy, by the way, the odds, Mac Jones right now from Alabama is the favorite.
Oh, whatever.
Kyle Trask, I'm just going, this is the Vegas Insider. Kyle Trask, Devontae Smith, Ian Book, and then Trevor Lawrence.
Devontae Smith should be the leader in the clubhouse over his own quarterback. He makes his quarterback look good. Mac Jones is good, but
how can you be the best player in college football if you're not even the best player on your team?
Bingo. Answer that question. It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, that's a perfect way to put it, Armstrong.
That's deep.
Yeah, I mean, there's no response to that. There's no response to that. So, yeah, Devontae Smith, if Mac Jones is a Heisman leader, then Devontae Smith should be the real Heisman leader.
I was convinced for a while because he went to the same high school as Chipper Jones that they were related, but I don't think they are.
They're not.
Yeah, here's another one. Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, Kyle Trask, Ian Book, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. Breece Hall's way down the list. That's a hell of a player now. But he's on, again, he just didn't, no matter how good Iowa State was down the stretch and how good Breece Hall was, it wasn't enough to get him probably an invitation to New York. Let me look at one more.
Devontae Smith has 83 catches, 1,327 yards, and 15 touchdowns.
Oh, I know. I know.
Well, sometimes it just got to take the courage of a voter to say, hey, we've put a lot of quarterbacks at this.
Yeah,
let's vote for some wide receivers.
I have a vote, and I'm incredibly proud and stunned that I finally had an opportunity, thanks to Robert Cessna down at Bryan College Station. I will not vote until after Saturday. There are some, and there's maybe been years when it's just been obvious.
No, I
am not going to vote. The voting deadline, I believe, is sometime, I think even on Monday or it might be Sunday night. I have 3 reminders, one in my phone, one on my laptop, and also one that's on a board that I can see when I walk into the kitchen. Vote for the Heisman. And I'm not going to vote until I see all of the games played on Saturday.
And the fact that you even have to say that, folks, and most who follow the Heisman Trophy probably know this, but there are numerous writers every year who vote before the conference championship
Sometimes
games.
even earlier than that.
Like, how could you possibly do that?
Here's what I'm going to do, and I can't give away my vote. I can't. It used to be, we used to have, when our G3 was up, and we had 6 or 8 riders, voters that week. Because I can't release who I'll do it until after they release the winner. But I want to see what Alabama does. Maybe they have a bad day. Maybe Devontae Smith has 3 catches, 22 yards, or maybe he has 9 catches for 175 and 3 scores in MAC. So let's see what happens. And maybe Kyle Trask goes off. I don't know. I want to watch it. I kind of have an idea, but I want to watch the games before I vote, and I'll vote sometime very late Saturday night or sometime on Sunday.
I just think it's ridiculous that you would vote before these teams playing their probably stiffest competition in many cases that they played all year, and for a title, and with...
Well, it's not like you're voting for... like a political office where if I know I'm going to vote Republican or Democrat, then I can vote 6 weeks early when the vote comes out, because mostly I'm not going to change my mind in that 6 weeks. But they're also not playing games.
Right.
I mean,
Well, and some people already know who they're going to vote for.
Something happens, but
some people already know who they're voting for president in 60 years. It's whoever's running this ticket or whatever, which is kind of sad. But if I'm not a Heisman voter, so I can say it, I'm voting Devontae Smith. It's not even a question.
When we come back, Tiana Boone, she's the sister of Treston Abner, the Baylor running back from Henderson, Texas, who's decided to come back for another year. If you did not hear, if you've just now joined us, you've been under a rock. Terrel Bernard announced that he's coming back for another year. There's still more of those decisions, including one of the most, maybe the most not imminent, is the Raleigh Tejada one, and that might tie into whether or not he can get the insurance policy for in case he's injured, which you can do. You could ask for that, and the schools can do that, but you got to kind of go through a protocol with that. He's one of the next men up. When we come back, Tiana Boone on Trusted Ebner's decision. Man, I hope you've had a great day with SicEm365 Radio. Back in a moment. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty. Here's what he can do for you. Possibly make you feel better. If you use his program, if you allow him to understand your blood work, and that means you have to go get your blood work. He'll look at your levels. And this is testosterone is the main core of what most people think about when they say Petty Clinic or any kind of low T. Petty Clinic Low T is going to help you with your testosterone levels, but he also will look at your PSA level. And it might look good, and then all of a sudden you get blood work a couple of times a year, and all of a sudden it goes from like 1.8 to 2.2 to 2.6. There's a red flag. Men, testosterone changes as you get older, and so does your PSA, your prostate cancer. That's the concerns about that. Be careful. Why not? Also, your cholesterol. Just your overall look at your blood. Is it good? But your testosterone level can dip as you get older. Not everybody, but 1 out of every 3 men battle symptomatic issues when it comes to low testosterone, which includes energy. You could be lethargic. You may not sleep well. Could have problems with your sex drive or endurance or sex itself. Maybe ED. And if that's the case, Dr. Petty wants to help you. So go online, PettyClinicLowT.com. There's a number to call. Contact them. Get your blood work. Discounted rate, tell him Smokey sent you. He'll look at your blood work. If your testosterone level's too low, he'll put you in a program to increase it so you can be the man, the high-performance man you want to be. PettyClinicLowT.com.
Christmas time is Jeep time at Allen Samuels. It's the big finish event, and the world's most awarded SUV has 0%, no payments for 90 days, and employee pricing for all on select models. Save thousands on the rugged Renegade and new 2020 Grand Cherokees. Even new 2021 Jeep Cherokees are included. 0%, no payments for 90 days. Employee pricing for all. Happy holidays from Allen Samuels.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs. Knowing you, that's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
If you have followed at all Treston Ebner throughout his career out of Henderson High School, played for Coach Phil Castles with Baylor, now, of course, a senior running back, made all Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Year, had a couple of touchdowns on special teams. And if you followed him at all, you understand his biggest fan is his mother. His other biggest fan is his sister, Tiana, and she joins us on SicEm365 Radio, Paul, Catalina, Craig Smoak, and David Smoak. Yeah, you guys have a special bond, brothers and sisters. Not all of them get along, but you guys have something incredibly special, Tiana. What has Treston Ebner meant to your life?
A lot. He's been like a really big joy to watch grow up. He's been, I don't know, he's always been humble. He's always been very driven, motivated. Like he's pretty much the puzzle piece that everybody needs to keep their family together.
So, Tiana, I know this year was hard for Treston and hard for everybody, but the decision to come back, when did he make that, and what was the process?
He made that decision about a week or two ago, maybe about 2 weeks ago. He called and he told me and my mama that he was going to be done after the OU game. And so we expected that to be his last game. And then like that Monday, he called and told us that he decided that he was going to stay and that he would talk to us about it later. And this past Sunday, after the last game, we talked to Coach Aranda, and he pretty much just, I mean, we've been knowing for about 2 weeks, but he just didn't want to put it out yet because he wasn't ready for all the talk on social media. But he made that decision about 2 weeks ago, and he was pretty confident in that decision the moment that he made it. Like, there was no change in his mind.
So, Tiana, this season's obviously been hard. As a family member, as somebody who, probably hasn't been able to go to all his games or be as involved and just hearing his side of things, like how hard has this been on these young men? How hard has it been on Treston? Just all the ups and downs, the testing, the start and stop. I mean, how difficult has it been?
For him, it really wasn't that difficult. I mean, he pretty much just had other stuff going on. other than COVID, which is why the whole opt-out decision came about to begin with. When he first made that decision, his decision was to opt out and return. But in his head, he was saying that if he opted out, he would return. But if he stayed for the rest of the season, he wouldn't. So once he decided to stay instead of opting out, we pretty much thought that this was just it for him. But he just had, like, a lot of other stuff, like, of course, COVID. But our grandma was diagnosed with cancer again. And that was pretty much the toughest part on him. She comes to all of his games, and she missed every single game this year. It was other people that he really wanted to be there just weren't able to be there. So that was pretty hard on him. But as far as COVID and, like, it affecting us or affecting him, that's the only way that it really did, because we had family members that couldn't show up that normally always did.
You know, I asked Coach Duranda one time to explain the behind the scenes of not what Treston or his decision or what was going on so much about that. He did. He went into that the day or two after that happened. But he tried to explain to me, which then pass it on to those who listen, that the lack of being able to see family, grandmothers, uncles, sisters, brothers, mothers, fathers, whoever, was much deeper and harder on these young men, not just Baylor, but across the country, than anyone could imagine. Was that something that was almost like in a group chat where you guys had to stay in touch even more so than ever before?
For me and my mom, no, because we still came to every game that we could. I even went to some of the out-of-town games, and she worked a lot of times, so she didn't. But it wasn't really that hard because Treston knows, like, if he calls us anytime, we're going to come. Like, if he calls us and says, I just want to see y'all, we'll come. It's like anytime that he needs us, we're going to be there. But as far as, like, seeing my grandma, he only saw her 2 times, I think, this season. And him being home now, this would be the second time that he's seen her.
That's good. He's getting an opportunity to be there. So, Tiana, just with Treston, I mean, obviously just tremendous player. Do you have any kind of gauge on sort of what the reaction was amongst the team to him deciding to come back? Because, I mean, obviously you look on social media. I know you're very active on there as well. Baylor fans are obviously thrilled, but have you heard about any reaction from the coaches or players to his decision?
I talked to Coach Duranda, like I said, Sunday. He was pretty excited about it. He was happy that he was making that decision. He said that he had big plans for Treston next year. Now, he's also getting in the swing of being with a new team himself. So he sees now what Treston is capable of. So he's ready to use him in different ways. But as far as the guys, I haven't really been around or heard. Like, I don't really pay much attention to that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and talk about it.
He was spectacular on the opportunities. He obviously had to deal with some injuries as well. How proud of you? How proud of him are you that he dealt with the opt-out that appeared to be going on? He came back. He also then went through whatever process there was to get back his single-digit number and then finished strong. He played Saturday, so that's not a guy that's ready to quit. He came out. Not everyone played Saturday, but he did.
Yeah, he made me very proud, honestly, because, like I said, he's always been humble. He's always been very driven. After the whole situation of him opting out and, like, so many people having so much to say, I really thought that, like, for him, that in his mind, like, the way I was seeing things to go for him, I thought he was going to just kind of be like, oh, well, I don't care anymore. If that's how everybody feels. So many people said that Baylor doesn't need me and they don't want me here, then I'm just going to quit. But he never really did. Like, that makes me proud because, like you said, it just shows that he never quit. Like I said, he's always been driven. He's always been very humble. So I didn't really think he would, but I'm proud of him for staying put together pretty much because that's exactly what he did. He stayed put together the whole time.
So what was, like, little Treston like when he was – like, what was that like? Was he kind of a determined kid? I'm curious. I mean, look, you have an opportunity just to, everybody knows he's a great football player, but you have an opportunity to really embarrass him here.
Oh, my. To be honest, he was so mean. He was so mean. We argued all the time. Like, we never really got along. Like, a lot of people would laugh because we never got along until Treston was, like, 13 or 14, and he finally was just like, okay, I like my sister now. But we used to not like each other. Like, we used to argue all the time. He used to hit me and throw balls at me and just do whatever to irritate me. Every time my friends would come over, he would be in my room, like, just, if I put him out, he'd be like, Mama, she's being mean. And he was a baby, so my mama gave him his way. He was so mean. And I used to, like, hate being around him for real. Like, it's crazy how close we are now because he used to get on my nerves so much.
Tiana, that is the story of me and my sister Jennifer. So when we were younger,
my sister Laura.
When we were younger, we'd butt heads, but then we got older. We were in high school together and stuff, and it became cool after that. And it's the strongest of bonds, right? Like there's not many bonds that are stronger than a tight brother and a sister.
We actually we were never in high school together. I'm 4 years older than him, so his 8th grade year was my senior year. So I actually whenever his freshman year came, I had a friend who was getting ready to go play football, and they told me, they were like, your brother's really good. You need to start helping him, because where we come from, not many people make it out. They don't, you don't have too many kids D1 after high school. And he was like, I'm going to give you this guy's number. I just want you to call him. He's going to tell you some stuff about recruitment, and just do what you can to help your brother. And I did it. And from that moment forward, that's really, I think he probably hated me then more than ever, because I made him do everything. Every time a combine came up, he'd be like, I don't want to go. And I'm like, oh, well, we're going to go. I'll just make him get in the car. We'll just drive. Or I'll tell him I'm going somewhere and go to a combine, and he'd be so mad. But I think he's great. He's thankful for it now.
There's a video that you took of him walking off the field at Oklahoma. And, of course, that was a tough loss. I believe that was after the Oklahoma game. He got dinged up in that game. And he said, hey, you're going to make me – what did he say? Don't make me laugh or something like that, or don't make me smile. What did he –
smile. That's what he said.
Yeah, that was a great moment. That's that brother-sister moment. We appreciate you coming on, because obviously he's made the decision to come back. He was in the news because of the discussion about opting out. And, there were some people upset about that, because at the time they had just gotten beaten by Texas badly.
And people have the common mistake of not really knowing the entire situation sometimes. Right. And Tiana's already, enlightened everybody out there on one aspect of what was going on. And sometimes you got to sit back and be understanding to people's situations. They're all different.
Yeah, and then he became his own man. He did, because obviously that not everybody's back. That doesn't mean that what they're doing is wrong, but it says quite a bit about him. So the one more thing, when you talk to Coach Aranda, was that he is a man that, as a lot of people, you don't always see him publicly and his personality. What did he say to you when you guys were talking, as far as what you talked about, how he wants to do more with Treston, but what did Dave Aranda say about your brother?
He said that he's a man of great character, and that's why he wants him. He's a leader, and that's one of the two main reasons that he wants him to return, because that's somebody that he can depend on to lead the team whenever he needs to.
Hey, Tiana.
And that speaks a lot to me.
Well, Tiana, I unofficially crowned myself 4 years ago when your brother arrived on campus, because I'm from Tyler originally, so I love the East Texas guys, and I was a big fan of your brother coming in. And I will admit I am not the unofficial. I guess I could be the unofficial president, but Tiana and the Ebner family are definitely the presidents of the Treston Ebner fan club. I'll step down and be like a vice president or something like that.
Yeah, you're not taking her role.
No, absolutely not. You're not. But I will be the non-family member president. I guess.
You didn't have to kick him out of your room.
Yeah.
God have to kick you.
Listen to that giggle. That's awesome. And tell the family we said thank you very much. And I know you talked to Treston about doing the segment. We appreciate it. We'd love to talk to him, and we will down the road. But it's good to get kind of insight that perhaps no one ever got, and to clarify some things as well. And we really appreciate your time, Tiana, and thanks for it.
You're welcome.
That's Tiana Boone on Treston Ebner, and Merry Christmas to the Ebner and Boone family as well. All right, that's a little bit of insight there.
No, that's a lot.
Grandmother going through cancer, and she's never missed a game.
Yeah, I mean that's just incredibly sad, and that's one of thousands of tales in this country right now, if not millions of tales, of just people being separated differently than we ever were before, and I think that's obviously. Everybody, positive thoughts, positive prayers for the family and what they're dealing with right now. But also the fact that she just, let us know what the kind of situation was. Hey, if I come back after, discussing the possibility of exiting early, if I come back, that's it. And he did come back, and yet he's coming. We didn't really have that insight to sort of his mindset or his way of thinking, and so. I mean, this sounds like it was something that just kind of came together, pretty quickly here at the end, him deciding to actually stick around. And that must have been a good conversation with Aranda. That's great to hear. And there's no doubt this team is immensely better next year with Treston Ebner on it, and he should be a huge focal point of this offense in any way, shape, or form they can get him the football. He is one of the best players in the Big 12 when he's healthy and available, and he was healthy and available or maybe not healthy, but he was available quite a bit this year, and when he did have his opportunities, even without a lot of help up front, clearing holes, he was still able to make plays. I mean, special teams player of the year in the Big 12.
Didn't he have one of the big plays in that Kansas State comeback, the 41 yards? I don't know why I say 41 yards, but it seemed like he had the long play down the sideline.
A lot of big plays.
We threw it. All right, when we come back, man, the 5 o'clock hour, Paul Catalina's conversation with Temple Wildcats head coach Scott Stewart. They play Rockwall Heath about a mile from here at McLean Stadium. We'll also hear from Alyssa Smith. Lady Bears hammered Northwestern Louisiana. She had 30 points today. But
John
Machota, who normally joins us on Wednesdays on the Cowboys, he'll join us at 5 o'clock coming up the next hour on the Cowboys as they get ready for week number 14, Sic'Em365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat employee pricing for all on most new vehicles. Nearly every vehicle on the lot, 0% financing, whether it's 60 months, 72 months, or 84 months. And every new vehicle has no payments for 90 days. So then you, in some cases, combine all of the above. For example, the Ram truck back to back now. 3rd consecutive year of the Motor Trend Truck of the Year. The most awarded SUV in history, the Jeep. There's big-time incentives, including the 2021 Cherokees, 0% for 72 months. Employee pricing and no payments for 90 days. It's crazy. King of the minivans, Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid. Also, the most luxurious family ride alive, $9,500 in values employee pricing available as well. You can go online if you want, AlanSamuelsDCJ.com. Make sure when you drop by, say hi to Ted Teague, say hi to Kevin, all of these guys that are there and women who run a great dealership. And if you want a salesperson, they have plenty of them. AJ's the one that fixed me up with a car, and I've never been happier with that. It's Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army radiologists. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sic'Em365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
And on second down, it's Williams up the middle, short of the first. The ball is out. It's scooped up by the Cowboys. On the run up the field, Aldon Smith motoring to the other end, and Aldon Smith will take it in for a Dallas touchdown.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments, with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing is time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Cowboys have 3 games left, and, there's that really small, crazy percentage that maybe they have more, because until you're done, you're done. But Cowboys move into the 14th game of their season after the win this past week, and they forced turnover after turnover that has just been missing for years. John Machota, theathletic.com, joins us, covers the Cowboys. Man, it was almost like they got an entire decade's worth in that game against Cincinnati that has been missing for so long, the turnovers and big disruptive plays and scoring as well.
It really did. I mean, it was so far this year, it's that game and then that one against Philadelphia when Ben DiNucci started, where it was just like, it was just the abundance of turnovers by the defense that makes you wonder. You're like, all right, so is this the new scheme? Are they starting to turn a corner here? Does this mean that there's going to be more of this going forward? I don't know. And one of the things that I wonder about is this happening just because that team is awful? Like, can you force these turnovers against good teams? And I would say that, judging by what I believe they'll do in the draft, I think that they're going to add more playmakers, particularly on the back end, that have a chance to make more plays like that, like a Trayvon Diggs that they just drafted in the second round this year. So if they can get another playmaking corner like that, maybe those are the type of turnovers they can get. But it certainly seemed like in that game things are going right when you have a running back running into the back of his left tackle and just fumbling and it just falling right to the feet of Aldon Smith, and he gets to run it back for a touchdown. So yeah, you'd like to think that there's more of that in the future, but I really don't know, because I still need to see them do it against a good team.
Yeah, this against the 49ers, who aren't good. They're average, and they have a ton of injuries, John, as you know. And Raheem Mostert probably not going to play, but that doesn't, they've been able to win with every running back that they've had at least points in the season or score points with them. How do you see this one shaking out with San Francisco now that, they're not playing at home? They're playing in, they've had to live in Arizona all this time. Nick Mullins is the quarterback. Do you think this could be another good week for the defense?
It could be. I think it, much like what you said at the very beginning there about the running game. I don't really care who the running back is. I just feel like they're going to be committed to the running game. And if they are, then they have a chance. The teams that have been able to stay committed to the running game against this Cowboys defense this year have fared very well. And you could tell that was going to be the game plan for Cincinnati until literally every running back they rotated in there fumbled. And then they were at a point where they had to kind of get away from that for a little bit. But you can run and have success against this team doing that. And I really feel like that's the 49ers game plan. Now, they're in the same boat as the Cowboys with just decimated by key injuries. And so this is nowhere near the typical 49ers Cowboys matchup that we were expecting, when the season started. But, I expect it to be a close game. There's enough about San Francisco that I just feel like that their program is in place. Obviously, it's a program that was good enough to get them to go to the Super Bowl last year. And I think the Cowboys are still trying to find their program and still trying to establish what they're going to be. And so because of that, I give the edge to the 49ers. I expect the 49ers to win this game, even though, it should be close.
I asked this question earlier to someone else who covers the Cowboys. It was, I think it was Mickey. But what is it? I know you guys don't have the access, but just being around a program or a franchise and what a win means as far as even if they're – what are they, Paul? 4-9, and whoever they. But what do you think just winning means? Just like an investment firm that maybe gets a big client or something like that. Isn't that the same thing? You get a little bit of an adrenaline rush.
I would think that they do. I would think in most years I felt like they did, but this year's just been different. And really it goes back to, week 3, week 4 of last season. I mean, that's the last time that they've won back-to-back games. And so. It's hard to believe that a win did much for them when they can't put together back-to-back wins in a row. And that's why this final 3-game stretch will be interesting. Did they turn a corner against Cincinnati? Or because I thought that they might have turned a corner with that win against Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota's certainly a better team than Cincinnati. And I thought that was the type of win that was going to propel them to maybe finishing the season a little bit stronger than they have up to this point. And it did. So that is something that you would think, like, yeah, there was, things went well. Andy Dalton got to go back to Cincinnati and kind of stick it to his former team. And then, defense got takeaways and they were able to get a win. And so, maybe this gets the momentum rolling in the right direction, but it's just hard to say that, or it's hard to bank on that happening just because we haven't seen it. It's been such a long time since we've seen them put together back-to-back good weeks. And that obviously that's what Mike McCarthy wants to do. He wants to establish that badly because, he's already mentioned to the team that his first year in Green Bay, it wasn't a good season. And then, but they finished strong. They won their last 4 games, and that rode into the following year where, they started getting their program on track. And then in 2 years, after that, they were in the Super Bowl. So that's Mike McCarthy's hope. And certainly if they go back to looking like the team that we've seen in those games against Washington, the Arizona game, and even the end of the Baltimore game, if they go back to that in any of these final 3 games against the teams they're playing against, that will not be a good sign going into the offseason.
Anything else, guys?
Tony Pollard this week. Do you expect to see his volume go up because Zeke is still at the minimum dinged up?
I do, and I would think that he would be getting the bulk of the carries for these final 3 games. I know Zeke wants to play, and that's one of the main reasons he's out there. They're not going to sit him, and if he still wants to play. And obviously, there is might only be like a 1% chance of making the playoffs because they haven't been technically eliminated. I think that they're still he's going to be your starter. You're going to see him out there, even though he isn't 100%. But I would think when everything's said and done at the end of each of these next 3 games, I think Tony Pollard is the one that probably gets the bulk of the carries and up for what a lot of fans want to see, get more playing time to see what they have in him. Because I really feel like he's been trending in a good direction, not only as a running back, but as a returner too. It seems like things are finally starting to click for him. Why not go into the offseason with him feeling pretty good, and giving him some extra carries? I think that would be a smart thing to do. So, I do expect to see more Tony Pollard in these final 3 games.
Hey, we appreciate you, man. John, thanks for jumping in with us a couple of days late. National Signing Day kind of interrupted the regular flow. Can't wait to talk to you again. Appreciate your time. Enjoy the weekend.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me on.
John Machota, theathletic.com, with us on the Cowboys. Normally Wednesday at 5, but that was National Signing Day. We had a couple of different segments we normally get to. We've had to push them around a little bit. Next week, we'll let you know our schedule next week. Obviously, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. It appears as if we'll try to give Armstrong some more days off. And then also the week after that. You really have learned just to deal with me, haven't you?
Learn to deal with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a struggle, though.
Not easy at all.
No, definitely not. It was not part of the job description when I signed up for this. But,
Dealing with Smokey.
Dealing with me?
Yeah.
Should have been the top bullet point.
When I decided, when this thing happened, and it happened pretty quickly, like March the 22nd or 3rd, you weren't in the discussion either, buddy. I mean, it's this is kind of like,
we both need to work together to make it work.
Somehow.
Yeah.
I do bring you food on occasion. I do feed the lion.
You do.
All right. The Lady Bears just absolutely overwhelmed Northwestern Louisiana, 136-43. And that was expected. Nalissa Smith, 30 points, 8 rebounds. They dominate from start to finish. And Nalissa Smith joins us now on SicEm365 Radio. You guys have had a lot of games this week, and that's the good news, Nalissa, because that means you're playing. Your thoughts about a game like this, how much do you learn when a game gets out of control like this so quickly?
You actually learn a lot. It helps us a lot with team chemistry, learning to work with each other. Things that we can't do in practice against each other, we get to work on in the game. So games like these are actually very good for us. It helps us, helps us build.
We were talking about this earlier. How good is it for conditioning and building up that game speed?
It's very good. Nobody wants to just get on the line and run back and forth. So that's why in the game you get to do a lot more with it. So it makes the conditioning part very easy.
Nalissa, how excited was the team to have Jaden Owens in the lineup? And obviously you'd love to have Kamari McDaniel too, but she's obviously dealing with an injury right now. But just how nice was that to get word of Jaden Owens being eligible and get her in the lineup?
It was very good. I mean, she's going to bring a lot to this team. So it was good seeing what she can bring to the team already, shooting, steals, and playing defense. So I'm very excited to see how this season is going to go with her.
I asked Coach Mulkey this. It might have been about a week ago, and it was after the Arkansas game, which didn't go well, but at the same time you learn from that. But you now are the focus. That doesn't mean that it's not a focus on Dede or it's not a focus on others like Queen and some others on your team, but you are now like the dog inside, so to speak. And you've had others around you as you've grown through the system, Lauren Cox, obviously, Kalani Brown or whatever. Do you feel like people are playing you differently, and how much does it change for you that you're the one that is the main focus inside?
It changes a lot. The last couple of years, I was able to just sneak in because they were so focused on, like you said, LC and Kalani. So now that all eyes are on me, now I just have to develop new moves and be able to shoot and do it, like bring a lot more to the table that they haven't seen before to make it harder to guard me.
What were some of the things you worked on this past offseason? And I know it wasn't, normal, so to speak, but what were some of the things that you just wanted to improve in your game from last season?
Just doing more without the ball, like a lot of movement. I've worked on my defense a lot, actually. I actually shot a lot of threes, which is surprising because I'm 0 for 7 right now. But I actually shot so many threes, so hopefully I get to see that soon.
You know what? One of the things that you are compared to what they've had before at the post position or inside position is that more they're back to the basket. You can do that, but you are like when you came in that game against Notre Dame when Lauren went down and maybe everyone thought, oh my God, and she is a great player, but you can hit that 15-foot jumper. You can face the basket. I asked about how much you've had to change or how much you feel like it's changed how people are on you. But how about the fact you make them change because you can shoot the ball the way you can?
I mean, just being versatile. I mean, I feel like it helps so much more. When I go home, I shoot so many shots and just keep practicing on my outside games because I know it's harder to guard. So, I mean, just getting shots up, that's what's helping me a lot this year.
How fun is it to be a part of this team? I mean, you all seem like you are thick as thieves, and obviously Mulkey always has, has a program where, there's the close-knit ties and things like that. But how much are the Lady Bears a family?
Oh, we're a huge family. I mean, we all depend on each other for a lot of things. We're friends on and off the court, and a lot of teams don't have that. I mean, when we go home, it's literally like we're waiting on each other to, like, text each other and find out what we're doing that night. So I feel like we're all just very close, and that helps a lot on and off the court.
You have had yet more transfers. Obviously, Dejanay Carrington comes in from Stanford, but you have seen Taya Cooper, Chloe Jackson. They've been a part of it. I know Kamaria, once she's healthy, will be a huge impact for Baylor basketball next year. How much has the success of previous transfers made it easier when new ones come in? And how difficult sometimes, or is it, to make sure you have chemistry and mesh together?
I don't know. I feel like it shows a lot. All the transfers that have coming in have produced so much. So I feel like that's why Coach Mulkey trusts a lot of transfers now, because they've gained that trust. So I feel like it's really not hard for this team to bond with transfers. I mean, we all have so many personalities on this team that when people do transfer and come here, we make it feel like it's home. So but we don't really struggle with that.
NaLyssa Smith with us. Baylor women dominate today over Northwestern Louisiana at the Farrell Center. They have a game again coming up, in fact, tomorrow. So one more game to go in this 4 games in 1 week.
And 60 straight wins at the Farrell Center, a record for the Lady Bears. So a pretty cool mark that was set today. NaLyssa, how amazing is it to see Dee Dee back out there after what occurred earlier this season?
Oh, it's very amazing. Dee Dee's such a key player. And just having her on the court, her energy, her defense, just everything about Dee Dee, she just always brings it every day. Oh, my.
You okay?
She always brings it every day on the court. So, I mean, it just helps a lot having her back on the court.
All right, I want to let you go. We're going to let you go. We appreciate your time, but we have to ask you one more question. You keep referring to Coach Mulkey. How come Dee Dee gets to just say Mulkey?
I don't know. I guess that's between her and Dee Dee. I feel like I don't know. I was just raised to call people like Coach and Sir and Ma'am and stuff like that. So I don't really just call her Mulkey.
I think we're going to ask Dee Dee that the next time we talk to her. Craig mentioned Dee Dee, and I just mentioned it in a funny way as well. How close did the team get? Because you guys did not know when she went down and Moon went down, and there was those days of uncertainty when watching those two try to recover, and it was scary for a while. How close was the team, and how much closer did that make you?
It made us so much more closer. We was already close to begin with, but just seeing seeing our teammates like that, it just it's like a humbling feeling just to know things can be taken away from you so quickly. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we just loved each other, and we went through the whole process together, and I feel like it just made us a stronger team.
NaLyssa, thanks for giving us your time. Appreciate it. Congratulations. 30 points, big win against Northwestern Louisiana. Good luck tomorrow in your next game as well.
Thank you so much.
That's NaLyssa Smith. Thanks to Kyle Robarts as well. So since they were beaten by Arkansas on the road in a game that they had a chance to shoot, Caitlin Bickle had a shot to tie it. They went to West Virginia, first half a little bit sluggish, and then they blow their doors off by 20. Then they beat Texas Tech by 46. And they're beating teams now, Southern, Northwestern Louisiana, and McNeese State tomorrow at 2 o'clock at the Farrell Center. These are teams they're going to beat up on. But, Paul, you mentioned it, and she had mentioned, you kind of getting a little bit more minutes, girls getting a chance to play.
Well, Saturday, tomorrow, will be a nice – probably a similar game in some ways to the one we saw today against McNeese State. Then, obviously getting back to Big 12 play, but you just flipped your screen, but that one at the bottom of the screen is looming, and it's
yeah, there you go.
It's going to be a big one, and maybe not always, it's not always 1 versus 2, but man, that's a matchup on paper. Doesn't matter what the rankings are. That's going to be big, and what I'm talking about is UConn coming up that first week of January. So that's only about 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
They got TCU, as I mentioned, and McNeese State, but then it's the Huskies. Yeah, and that'll be here in Waco.
McNeese State tomorrow, 2 o'clock at the Farrell Center. TCU on the road, who last year was really pretty good, one of the better teams in the Big 12, and then Connecticut at home. That's when social distancing at the Farrell Center might be a little bit challenged.
Well, I mean, there's nothing people can do about it. I mean, you're going to let people
no.
land. So.
Everybody gets in if they can get in. I just said that. We'll ask Mac on Tuesday.
Way to go, Dan Mullen.
Yeah.
Way to go, buddy. Way to go. How'd that work out for him?
Not well.
Hey, you asked about Scott Surratt, Craig. Why he's won 8 in, I think it's 12 years, 8 or 13 years, whatever it is. His son's a 7th grader in the Carthage school system.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There you go. And you know what? If you're a part of that area,
you're like, why is he a bleeping 7th grader and not an 11th grader?
Coaches sometimes will go elsewhere and they bring their son with you as they go through a system. Who knows? Scott Surratt, I don't think there's any question he could be successful anywhere he goes, whatever level. But his son's a 7th grader. Remember what Barry Switzer said to us about his son?
It's pretty good.
Do you guys remember that comment?
Not
He said his fundamentals and the way he throws it at his age is as good as I've seen. So, and you would think because of what Carthage has done, if in fact that's what he's going to do at quarterback at Carthage.
I'm sure Scott Surratt would like to have that John King, Hanks King moment that Longview had last year, although Carthage has no drought. They just won it today. So, and they didn't have a drought before this really either. My whole thing in saying that was just like, I called him a first ballot Hall of Famer right now if he called it quits on his career. It's just that when you're down 14-0 in a state title game, and the only way that you were down 14-0 was because of a pair of onside kicks, and you reel off 70 straight.
Well, there's fourth down stop and then touchdown, but you're right.
Yeah, so like you reeled off 70 straight points in a state championship game and won 70-14. Like it's just like, I don't know. I would just he could stay at Carthage for 100 years. I would just love to see something.
And Alexander wept because there are no more worlds left to conquer.
Exactly. Yes. That's. I just would be curious to see him move up the chain, and maybe I don't know. I'm looking for the challenge there.
I bet there's no question. And yet, Gordon Wood was at Brownwood for a long, long time.
Sure.
Randy Allen at Highland Park. Now, those guys have also been elsewhere, and Scott Surratt at one point was an assistant coach at Texas High and won a ring there.
Kevin Hoffman will probably never leave Mart.
He once said, and I haven't asked him, I have not left him alone for a couple of days. I thought he once told me he was going to keep coaching until they did not win a state championship. And I don't think he meant that.
Or maybe make the state championship, because that could extend him for another year. But yeah, it was something he said at the time. But no, I mean, all due respect, I have nothing bad to say in any way about Carthage. I'm just simply saying, like, you see Carthage in the state title game, and maybe once out of every 4 years, you're like, oh, that could be pretty good. But otherwise, you're like, this is going to be a blowout.
Who's a desperate 5 or 6A team that would just like challenge him to like, hey, rebuild this?
Yeah.
I mean, there's many across the state that maybe even have some former glory.
And
I can think of one.
There's two 5A and 6A in Waco, Texas that are both open, and there's others that might be open. He has one. Carthage has a tremendous mixture of talent. They also have people who know how good they are. So if you're from Elysian Fields and they're good, or you're from the western part of Louisiana at a high school and you're okay, but you have a chance to go there and play, Carthage doesn't even have to, Carthage doesn't even have to go looking for people. They're looking for Carthage, right? Jeff Traylor at Gilmer was known as good a recruiter, and that's why when he get to college, he'd be just fine. But a lot of times people were contacting them about wanting to play in that offense and on that program.
How many state titles did Jeff Traylor win at Gilmer? Okay,
3.
so he won 3. And look, if Scott Surratt wants to be the head coach of Carthage for the rest of his life, that has nothing to do with me. I'm just saying Jeff Traylor eventually said, you know what, this has been fun, but I'm going to go for a bigger challenge. And all I'm saying is I'm just curious if Scott Surratt has any desire for a bigger challenge, because I don't see the challenge anymore for Carthage. It has to take something extraordinary for them to not be the state champion.
I think of two things when I think of Carthage, Texas. I think of Scott Surratt and that football team and the movie Bernie.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
That's what they're known for. Yeah. That's what they're known for.
Yeah, you have dynasties, and they are absolutely in the middle of all that. He's won more state championships individually for one program than anybody else, and he's got himself something going. Temple plays like a mile from here at McLean Stadium against Rockwall Heath, and facing their former head coach that was the head coach when Scott Stewart was a coordinator at Temple. Mike Spradlin, who we heard from earlier. Well, let's hear from Temple. They play tonight. Good luck coming up 35 or coming down 35 from either one of those particular areas.
Yeah, folks, if you can go that MOK, get around the other side, I think is probably the best way.
I don't even like to let people know about that part.
Never mind. Armstrong dumped that.
First of all, the way the loop in Waco is built, it's not really a loop. Mm-hmm. It's like a semi-loop.
It's like a crescent.
Because Lakeshore turns into 340, which then turns into 6, which then turns into you got to get off on Bosque, so it's not really a loop. Mm-hmm. So when people get off to try to find shortcuts to get away from 35, it only just makes it worse.
Yeah.
It really, and but I get that. But you see those access roads, and then those lights are going to let 5 or 6 cars, and there's 53. The access roads are now jammed getting off at 35.
What doesn't help, the access roads are all stop signs. So you get a log jam, and then there's 30 cars deep of 4-way stop signs. So it's like the slowest, most plodding traffic flow off the highway, and the highway's gridlocked. So it's a mess. And we knew it was going to be a mess with all the construction. I mean, it's amazing. I see it more now, but like when quarantine was going on, I didn't see 35 for like a month and a half. And to come out of it and see like how much development had gone on, and we clearly see all this development here. 35 is looking way different. Still a ways to go, but yeah, if you're going to the game tonight, it won't be as bad as a Baylor game because there's going to be less fans, obviously.
I'm going to go over there and kind of watch a few minutes.
But yeah, just be heads up that if
bad.
It's like it was earlier, it's going to be really bad.
But it's not going to be better next week. It's not going to be better in a month.
Yeah. I'll just tell you. And then once the expansion happens, expanding the roads doesn't help your traffic. It only increases it.
Yeah.
Because when more people then say, I can drive there.
You guys, we have Temple, Scott Stewart, and we might be able to get Scott Surratt to answer our question. All of that and much more. Hope you've enjoyed so far what we've had today. For those of you on a text line, those of you who called earlier, thank you. Armstrong Sims, thank you. Much more to come on SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine. It's the holiday season. They have a special bottle of Balcones that's from their own barrel. The Waco Whiskey Club, Balcones, and Riverbend Liquor and Wine got together, and they got the Christmas special. It's a 5-year aged single malt whiskey, and I haven't had it yet, but Steve Chapman assures me it's delicious, and I trust his taste implicitly. He's never given me anything to try that I thought, oh my gosh, this is terrible. He's always given me something delicious, and that's what their staff will do. If you want recommendations, stuff you want to get for people for the holidays, that's the place to go. If you're buying wine, spirits, beer, craft beer, my gosh, the craft beer they have there at Riverbend Liquor and Wine is fantastic. You have to go in and check it out and get the Christmas special while it lasts at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
When it comes to hauling the family and hauling cargo, see Alan Samuels. Get the king of minivans, the award-winning Chrysler Pacifica, or America's lowest price third-row crossover, Dodge Journey. During the Big Finish event, get 0%, no payments for 90 days, and employee pricing for all on Pacifica. It's minivan first class. And get employee pricing for all on new 2020 Dodge Journeys. Happy holidays from your friend in the car business, Alan Samuels.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
Hey guys, Scott Stewart here, head football coach of the Fighting Wildcats from Temple High School in Temple by God, Texas, and you're listening to SicEm365 Radio with David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
This segment with Temple Wildcats football coach Scott Stewart is sponsored by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine.
All right, so you are taking on your old boss, Mike Spradlin, a guy who really came in and helped build the Temple program back to where it was before, where get you on the track to where it was competing for state championships. What's it like when you face someone, especially like Coach Spradlin, that had roots in Temple and is a big part of your career?
Well, I just don't know how to make this any different than it is on any week. Now, I mean, I know those guys personally. I respect that man. I wouldn't be sitting in this chair right now if it wasn't for him. And I don't know what he had to do with the promotion, but I'm talking about just being in Temple. I mean, he hired me as a defense coordinator in 2014, and I don't think I get a shot to do what I'm doing if it wasn't for him. So, all the respect in the world. But the bottom line is, I'm going to take a group of teenagers. I'm going to go try to win a football game and I'm going to try to kick his butt for 48 minutes or their butt for 48 minutes if I can, or we can. And if we don't, I'll hug his neck and tell him I love him and wish him the best. And if we do, I'll hug his neck, tell him I love him and wish him the best.
They've got a really good quarterback, but your team has really, really good quarterback. But your team has responded well to big-time challenges. And, just going back to early in the year when you faced Longview, a team that hadn't lost a lot in the last few years, and you were able to beat them in what's probably going to be a classic in Temple for years and years to come. What is it about this group that they have the right approach to excited to face a good player, but not overwhelmed by, oh, my God, this guy, or good teams, oh, my God, these guys are so good?
Well, I think part of it is just their mental approach to this whole thing. I mean, Paul, we had 6 kids that had ever donned the blue front white bag pants when we walked up in Longview. So they've just been a sponge this year, and it's fun to coach groups like that. I asked Coach McQueen, how do you handle small groups or young groups? How do you handle, because it comes with its own set of problems or situations and stuff. And he just said enjoy every second of it, because right now they don't know they're good. And would I rather have 35 3-year starters or 35 3-year lettermen on our team? Absolutely. But they've rose to the challenge. I don't think they love to practice. They love each other. And I think chemistry is a real deal. And it's got to be organic. I don't think there's any coach on the planet that could sit there and say, okay, here's the ingredients. Mix this, and this, and you'll have good chemistry. I mean, this stuff started with them when they were in 3rd grade. They just like being around each other. They love practicing. They compete at everything they do. I go out there, and I don't want to take over your little show, but they go out there on Tuesday of Thanksgiving, and I go outside, and they're all jacking around out there. I thought they were. I heard a bunch of noise, and I'm like, here we go. I got to go squawk at these young guys again. I mean, and this is after practice. They're racing in what they think is a 40-yard dash. They just put like a helmet down on this end, a helmet on this end. Somebody said, I'm faster than you, and it started I got in there and raced one of the offensive line. They just love being a part of this, and I think that's, part of the key to it. I mean, we had one guy sign this morning, which I know there's a lot of places that don't. It's not like we don't have talent, but it's not like we're not Duncanville up here, signing 17, 20, 25 guys year in and year out. This is just a fun group because A, they're young, and B, they just love being here.
The pandemic is so weird in the way that we've had to approach this. And I'm sure some teams were hurt chemistry-wise because new coaches and all that. But having these kids, together for a while, even the younger ones, did that help build the chemistry in that while they were apart, there wasn't too much, they knew each other and they kind of had inroads already to chemistry before it started?
I think so. And I think, part of it too is just the appreciation of us even getting to do what we do. I mean, middle of June, I don't know if anybody thought we were going to play a football game, and the message, people come in and say, what's your message to everybody? And I'm like, I hope you see that what you do have are blessings and not hardships. I mean, it used to be, I hate my job versus I'm lucky I have a job because, in my world, in my profession, in my job, in my daily relationship with these kids, this comes to an end. I mean, and most of the time it's due to injury or it's due to just exhausting your eligibility. I mean, you got too old. We found out in 2020 that a lot of stuff can be taken away from you, and you had nothing to do with either one of those two or anything else. I mean, you did nothing. It's a virus. And a lot of people got a lot of stuff taken away from them because of something that was 100% out of their control. And so, what we talked about ad nauseum is, I hope you appreciate what you have because it can be taken away, and I think that's part of it too. I think it's just a cool mix. I think there's a lot of ingredients and there's various and sundry factors that kind of go into what this team is. And a lot of it is really, really cool. There are a bunch of young kids that love being around each other. They love to play hard. We got a lot of our team size is not near what it's been. This is probably, honestly, and we've got some kids who can play, don't get me wrong, this is probably the least measurably talented group that we've had since I've been in Temple in 7 years. And they may be the hardest playing group and the tightest group that I've had in 7 years. And so, the foundation of this program is master the things that take no talent and believe in the stuff that you can't measure. You can't measure heart. You can't measure will. You can't measure testicular fortitude. And so, when you can measure height, speed, weight, strength, all that. And I hope what's going to get them through the next 70 years of their life is the stuff you can't measure is what's going to make you successful.
Now, I've been doing this a long time. The cliche is you always want to be practicing the week of Thanksgiving. Well, do we have a new cliche this year that you want to be practicing the week of Christmas?
This is a new one, man. To my knowledge, me and Coach Bradley talked about it this morning. I don't think anybody's ever done that because the state game is usually the week before Christmas. So, to be in a situation where you have an opportunity, and then if that comes, somebody's going to realize that. And so, that would be a blessing in itself. It'd be cool. I don't think any coach has ever literally coached their football season in January. I mean, there's somebody's going to get to do that too. So these are it's unprecedented times. It's just, to me, it's a tribute to our profession to be able to deal with the stuff we're doing. I mean, there are businesses, and some of them's not because of them, it's because of the government and all this other crap that I don't want to get into. But it just shows you how resilient humans and in particular coaches and athletes can be, is just tell us what we got. Tell us what the rules are. We'll figure out a way to make it happen. And, if you let coaches run this country, it'd probably be a different place.
All right, that's Scott Stewart. They're playing at McLean Stadium tonight against Rockwall Heath. And that's a second-round game in Class 6A. So all the championship games except one are done. Lindale tonight against Argyle in Division 1 4A. Everything else is done. A lot of the games have been down to the wire. And then there was the 4A Division 1 game, Division 2 game, which started out a little bit dicey with Gilmer up 14-0. And then here comes Carthage. The buzzsaw. 70-14, they win their 8th state championship, and head coach Scott Surratt now joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Do you ever just get bored?
No, sir. No, we'll never get bored with championship. That's for sure. It was very special with it being 2020, and we was talking about the staff. And I said, we can win this, guys. They already give us two championships out of this.
Yeah, and you guys had to battle through some delays. You had games canceled. There are probably even some people that might have, and I'm not putting this in anyone's, not in your, but there may have been a couple of teams that just dodged you. Is that because of the emotions of what went through the season to get it to this point that made it so emotional?
Yeah, it really was. It was something that come up every day, it seems like. And, start of the season, when the 6A and 5A split from the rest of us, it was, we lost 3 games because there were 5A games, and then we luckily 6-pound Kilgore on that Friday after the Tuesday split. And then we didn't play again until a month. It was 30 days later we played Gilmer our second game. So that was an experience practicing for a month after you already had 2 days and things, not playing a game. But it's all worth it now, and we're just very fortunate to get through this season and very fortunate to win.
Is this the biggest sigh or biggest deep breath you've ever taken after a season, like knowing that you accomplished your goal, but also that you made it through?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like every day, you know, wake up and read something that, you know, was shut down or whatever. So to get through it, like I said, it's very, very special.
The game today, you're down 14-0, which is, I know, a position you don't find yourself in often at Carthage, Coach. But what does it say about your kids that not only did you rally, but you just, you know, you got the train going all the way through?
Yeah, we've only been down one other time, and it was 7-0 to Pleasant Grove, and then we ended that game on a 35-0 run, and tonight it was 14-0, and they made a couple plays on us and got the onside kick, and we kind of busted on the 4th and 1 there, and on offense, but then 70 unanswered was, I think that's pretty impressive by our players and the adjustments by our coaches and how hard we played. It was really good.
How many starters are you going to have back next year on defense?
We got 8 starters back on defense.
Oh, that's great.
Quite a bit on offense.
Yeah.
We do have 8 starters back on defense.
You know, we had Barry Switzer. I think I told you this. We had Barry Switzer on the show the week before Oklahoma played Baylor, and we were asking him, and we brought you up in Summer and the family and your daughter, and the fact that he had taken her to lunch, and he was talking about your son is a pretty good talent. And what grade is he in now, Scott?
He's a 7th grader. They went undefeated and district champions, and so they had fun.
So does that mean that there's at least 6 more years of Scott Surratt at Carthage?
5.
5.
Yeah.
I love the honor. Oh, my God. Everyone's running for the hills.
Coach, you have been so dominant as a program. I mean, the 8 state titles. I mean, just crushing a lot of teams out there. What is it about Carthage? What is it about climbing that mountain with Carthage over and over again? What keeps you motivated and keeps you challenged?
Just really the next ring, the next championship is what motivates me and my coaches, and how we do it is I've got a phenomenal staff, and we got a great board that hired me and 14 years ago and took a shot on a guy that didn't have any experience, and just landed in a great place, and family loves it, and and my daughter graduated here last year, and she, like you said, up in Oklahoma, it's just a special place, and to do something like this, you got to be at a special place. You have really good players and great coaches.
Is the animal so big now that you can't even almost feed it enough as far as the winning and the thirst of winning?
Well, we're expected to win, that's for sure. Our coaches, our players, our community, and we wouldn't have it any other way. And we're looking forward to the next one we can win. We're gonna give a little time, but. To be honest, in the fourth quarter, we were already putting a depth chart together for next year. Offensively, we kind of know what it is defensively, but that's just kind of the way we roll, and hopefully we can get another one.
How proud were you of Kai? I know he got dinged up. He got it was a scary moment last week in that semifinal win against Wimberley. The fact he gutted it out and was able to help you lead you to another championship this week.
Yeah, that hit last week really scared him. If you start on tape, it looked terrible. I think he hyperextended more than anything, but it was like it could be one of those bad knee injuries. But he's the only quarterback that's ever walked in Carthage that went undefeated, and in our quarterback room, and we've had some phenomenal players. So I think he threw for over 70% and probably 34, 35 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And he didn't have his biggest stats because we only played 13 games really, because one of them was a forfeit. I know we're 14-0, but it was a forfeit. So, I think he would have put up, 45 to, maybe the interceptions stayed there 45 to 2 and had a even bigger year. But he's a great leader, and he'll do things really well at Tulane, I believe.
Scott, we know how tight the Texas high school fraternity is, the THSCA. There's not an organization like it in the country. How proud are you of Texas high school football? You know, here we are at state championship weekend. There was thoughts that no games were going to be played at all. And, you know, everybody's, for the most part, made it through a season or will be making it through a season. And I know 5-6A's got a ways to go, but how proud are you of Texas high school football and making it through in such a turbulent time?
Well, we talked about it last night. We can't thank the UIL enough and our coaches association enough, Joe Martin and Dr. Braddock, and how they led us through this thing. And because you know, Louisiana and a lot of states shut it down, and so we were very fortunate to keep going. And it's a tribute to those guys, the leadership those guys have for us.
Sedarius Blackshear, Anthony Morgan, let's see, Blake Bogenschutz, let's see, Jared Blissett, Gunnar Capps, Kai Horton, Kaysen Davis. I mean, this list goes on and on, doesn't it?
It does. And you're talking about some great players right there, and very coachable, great young men, and you know, every one of them that stepped in the room has been very, very good, and hopefully we can continue that trend next year and in the future.
Do you have any type of special routine after winning a state title? I mean, you've been through it 7 times previously tonight. Or do you have anything special planned to celebrate number 8?
Well, hopefully, this is a little different this year with my brother being the superintendent. Lindale has got on the sidelines of Lindale Eagle game. I know they got to play very well because our guy's really good. So hopefully they can get it done, and that would be even more icing on the cake.
So we saw Lindale's Jordan Jenkins sign on Wednesday with Baylor. Any thoughts on him? Any like insight into him as a player? What you've heard?
Yeah, we seen him play. He played at our place in the playoff game, and we also saw him on tape against Gilmer, and he ran for quite a bit of yardage against Gilmer. And he's a special player, and he's a big beast.
Scott, one more thing, and I appreciate you coming on with us. We really do. You mentioned that Kai Horton and another teammate are going to go to Tulane. Did that that was all pushed aside? Everyone kind of knew all that, but they were able to kind of say, hey, we got to go win a state championship or go play for one and then win it before we start worrying about that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. They put the team in front of those guys, and they didn't want to do anything until after, didn't want it out. And then they actually signed in the hotel, I believe, Kai and Mason, Courtney. And so that tells you what kind of kids they are. They didn't want to do it Wednesday before the state championship and make it look like it's them. It was for the team that they waited.
Scott, thank you for being a part of the show. You've done this a couple of different times, even though we're out of the Waco area. Thanks for your time. You're a Hall of Fame man and a coach. We appreciate your time.
I appreciate it. Same to you, Smokey. Merry Christmas.
You too. That's Scott Surratt, 8 state championships. You mentioned his quarterback and running back. Think about this, National Signing Day Wednesday, and what did they do? They knew they were going to Tulane, but they waited until after the championship game.
Yeah, and he answered the question. I mean, I totally get sticking around. You know, I'm just curious as far as like the challenges go and all that. But I mean, when you've got it so set up like that, I mean, folks, he just admitted they were fixing the depth chart for next year in the fourth quarter of this game. Fourth quarter of the state championship game, they're working on the depth chart for next season. That's how out of control it got and how just dominant they are. So, hey, it's fun to win. It's no doubt. So if you're winning all the time, I mean, that's good enough, you know. And they're gonna win. They're gonna win more. He's gonna have at least 10 state titles. I mean, at least 10 state titles. He only needs 2 more. We already know he's gonna be there for at least another close to 10 years because you know if he's gonna coach his son, that's 5 years away, and then 4 years of him playing. So he's gonna have. I mean, he could. You know, you don't want to get too far ahead because teams win titles, and you're like, they could win 6 in a row. But, I mean, legitimately, he's got 8. He's going to be there for at least 6-7 more years. I mean, my gosh.
His son will be an 8th grader next year, so that's 1 more year. And then the 4 years he's in high school, so 5 for sure. Mm-hmm. And they got a couple of players. They got a linebacker, Kip Lewis, who's phenomenal. The kid ran 2 interceptions. He wasn't even the one, but he's the one that really tore into China Spring if you watched any of the live stream. And then also, on top of that, the young man who ran back a couple of picks for touchdowns, they are loaded. And we appreciate him for jumping on with us. Man, what a day, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the biggest news today was Terrel Bernard, who released a video one more time. He's coming back for 1 more year.
Run it back.
Run it back.
Is what he said. And, that's been a popular tweet, as you might imagine. There were a lot of people very thrilled with that news. We kind of set out, and I had written an article a week ago, and I got to kind of try to figure something out to write this weekend, but with no games being played now, it's kind of different, and I think a lot of the stuff's already been covered as far as the recruiting side of things and all of that, but I'll come up with something. But yeah, there was an off-season checklist as soon as that game was over last weekend, and it was a number of guys that you thought could be possibilities to stick around or go to the NFL or go somewhere else. And, immediately out of the gates, it was Charlie Brewer and John Lovett leaving. And you're like, okay, well, what's next? And since then, the last 3 days, it's been nothing but guys announcing that they're returning to, other than William Bradley King. But, I think everybody knew that was the most realistic outcome, was him going to the NFL. So that was not a surprise. But, Terrel Bernard, if the injury doesn't come into play, it's probably different. But doesn't matter. He's coming back. Treston Ebner, it sounded like, if you listen to the interview with his sister, that when he decided to come back to finish the season, that when he said that he was going to do that, that meant he was going to leave, and he changed his mind, and he's coming back next year. So Jaron McVay, as we talked about earlier. And, it's just...
And the news that Tejada's maybe waiting just on whether or not that they can get an insurance policy for him.
If Tejada comes back, that's huge. Xavier Newman coming back is big, just because you've got a body and you've got a guy with a lot of experience, and you've got a guy get a full off season, put some weight back on him, and let Wickline go to work. There's a lot of reasons. The entire Baylor defense, for the most part, outside of William Bradley King, and we're waiting on Tejada, but everybody else is expected to be back at this point. And then you add in their recruits, and the offense, I don't want to jinx them or anything, but how could they be worse?
No.
How could they possibly be worse?
The Lady Bears win by 90-something. We have that. Craig, everything you said, yes, check. And there's this attrition list that I have that we'll kind of keep up with. Scott Drew and Baylor play tomorrow. They're at Kansas State, and there won't be an easy game. K-State's 3-4. Baylor's 4-0. Paul Catalina was able to kind of monitor that Scott Drew press conference that was going on yesterday while we were doing the show. Armstrong, do you have JB Stress available? All right, let's go. This is Jared Butler on the stress of the 2020 start of this season.
It's for me, it's super up and down, and it's just hard, because you don't know what type of I don't know. What I would say is, as a basketball player, you're in the mode usually during the season, and it's like a almost on edge always type of mode. And when you get a game canceled, it's all right, I get out of that mode, and then another game gets canceled, and then you do play, and then it's you never really know. It's like a start stop, like you said. It's just hard. I don't know. It's just try to get focused and refocus and try not to think about it, and, control what you can control. And
Jared Butler on, again, there's concerns about whether the season should continue from some and most everyone. It depends on what side of the fence you are. Is it worth playing basketball right now?
I think it's always worth it to play. I just think for some people, they might look at it through a different lens, but I think it's worth it to play because we're good, and we got a chance to hang a banner up, and that's something I really want to do for Baylor, and something that I think we're able to do. So that's why I think it's worth it to play now. I think if guys were losing and their seasons, in the negative and win column, I think it's not worth it to play with the emotional. It's already emotional enough, with the cancellations and stuff. But for us, we have a chance to win a banner. I don't care COVID season, not.
That's Jared Butler on the stress and also making it and worth playing. All right. Jared Butler, men's basketball. Nalissa Smith, women's basketball, the Lady Bears. Grayson Grundhafer, SicEm365.com. Max Olson, The Athletic. John Machota, The Athletic on the Cowboys. William Bradley King, former Baylor linebacker. Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com. Tiana Boone, a lot of great response on her interview with us on Treston Ebner's decision to come back. That's his sister. Scott Stewart of Temple, and Scott Surratt as well from Carthage. Zach Smith, former Baylor quarterback at Tulsa, was named to the semifinalist list, by the way, of the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award. He was one of the names on that list. He's from Grandview, Texas. He's had a really nice year for Philip Montgomery and company. Tonight, Lindale's Jordan Jenkins. If you haven't watched him against a favored team in Argyle, that's at 7 o'clock at AT&T Stadium in Arlington as well.
Yeah, BU football put out some cool graphics now that they're allowed to with the signing class official. They can actually talk about these guys, and they were putting out graphics for all the players who are like Cooper Lands playing for Geyer. They're in the playoffs, obviously. Kyron Drones and Shadow Creek are playing, and those are obviously the bigger schools, so they're just getting the postseason started. But they also sent out one that Take State. Good luck tonight to our guy Jenkins the Beast, and put a cool graphic together for him, so that's awesome. And obviously their timeline is also filled with a lot of excitement over Terrel Bernard. Folks, that is so huge, just barring, hopefully no setbacks in his recovery process. But, man, just what an addition. Treston Ebner coming back. I mean, that's your best player on defense and arguably your best player on offense, who have both announced with the ability to leave if they wanted to, that they'll be back for you. So for anybody who thought, and I saw plenty of comments throughout the season of like, Aranda doesn't have this team, or it's going to be mass exodus. And like, look, the exodus was talked about just because this has been such a weird year and first year coaching staff and all that. But he's done one hell of a recruiting job, landing 18 new players this week and then bringing some big ones back into the fold.
Yeah, and we've spoken to all of them for the most part. Not all 18 that signed yesterday, but the ones that were some of the eyebrow, Drew Estrada, and then, of course, the ones who've made decisions, including William Bradley King. For Paul Catalina, great job this week, guys. Craig Smoak, Armstrong Sims with the doctor's note and everything. I will see you Monday. Oh, my goodness, what a day. We appreciate you. Thank you for listening. Those of you who comment on SicEm365.com, premium section, or the other sections as well. Some of you, we appreciate your feedback when you have questions. We always do. Text line, phone calls, and more. I'm David Smoak. Have a great weekend on SicEm365 Radio.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army radiologists. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.